What's happening? Can you believe it? We're back. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, episode 365. Crazy how many of these we've done. And we're just getting started. As a matter of fact, someone pointed out that we have, I think it's the 5th year anniversary of the show coming up. Hey, Brian Matson, what's happening? Yo, roll call. Here we go. Brian Matson, what's up? Hardcore Shutterbug, Steven Messina, Ray Zoller, Ray Hogan, Chris Hoffman, John Burry in the UK, RS70, Wayne Spike Large, James Hollis. Good. Joe Frank representing upstate New York. Good. Margaret from Akron, Ohio. What's going on in Akron? Party town, Akron, Ohio. You know? GXS, what's up? Yeah. Wayne Spike Large. K Pasta. That said, what can I tell you? 365 is like 1,000 hours of content. It's still mind-boggling to me when I think about it. I mean, it's over 360. Over 1 year of my life, I've woken up and went, I have a show today. It's a lot. Over 1 year of my life, I've done this. I mean, I'm not that old, you know? Absolutely. Rest in peace, Neil Hasvar. This show's dedicated to you. We'll see you on the other side, brother. That said, let's bring on our co-host for the day, Lori Dawn.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
How's everybody out there?
I can't speak for them, but
Nancy out there.
But Debo the Pro's in the house.
Debo, hey, what's going on?
What's up, Debo?
Zola.
Jeff, what's up?
How you doing, Jeff?
Well, you were just in the studio with Jeff, right?
I was just in the studio. It's pretty awesome.
I heard about your project, Jeff. You got to come on when you get it up and running. You know. Yeah.
They got some killer stuff coming out. Sounds really good so far.
Look at you. You got fans in Flint, Michigan.
Awesome.
What's next, Gary, Indiana? How random. Flint, Michigan.
Awesome.
The Jackson 5 are from Gary, Indiana, not Flint, Michigan, right?
No, Flint, Michigan, I don't know. Don't drink the water or something, right?
That's right. Well, I think Flint, Michigan. Yeah, no disrespect to Flint, Michigan. Going deep with the Janis Joplin shirt.
Yes.
Okay. One more hour till I clock out of work. Well, hopefully we will make your last hour of work somewhat entertaining, you know?
Awesome.
So, yeah. Well, that said, what else going on?
Nothing. I'm here on Long Island. So
what's happening in Long Island?
I'm in Long Island for a couple of weeks here, you know?
Okay.
I came down to visit some family, gonna go to some shows. We got a big one coming up on Sunday. I can't wait.
Oh, you're coming to the show on Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
For those that are wondering, this Sunday, cue up slate. For those wondering, this Sunday, all ages free Sunday matinee, the New York Hardcore Chronicles and Authentic Productions proudly present the Back to the New York Hardcore music series with the Hub City Stompers, Lace 'Em Up, Rebelmatic, Ancient Domains, DIYing Breed, and Ill Raised with our friend DJ Cindy Half Rats.
Nice. Can't wait.
Yeah, if it's free, that's right. If it's free, it's for me. Come on down. Bring that booger-eating kid. Bring that nagging wife. Bring that bum alcoholic husband. Bring him on down. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome. Everyone is welcome and will be duly insulted.
Exactly. I see my Janis shirt is getting a lot of love.
It is.
I just want to say I got this in like a smelly thrift store.
Really?
Yeah, I think I washed it enough.
Is it a long sleeve?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's like a sweatshirt actually. It's pretty
I
cool.
happen to be a big Janis Joplin fan.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rich
Huge
Zoller's
fan.
getting paid to watch too. He's crawling around manholes in Manhattan. Okay.
Whatever you do for fun.
Listen, it's really the reason why we do this is so you people that are rotting away at work, getting paid for it, can do something other than work.
How you doing, Steven?
Yeah. Hold on, take it. Take another little piece of Janis was great. Janis, I'm a big Janis Joplin fan.
Yeah.
Because
Awesome.
basically anytime I see like you see any Janis Joplin footage or any Janis, she's just incredible.
Yeah.
Like I've never seen her off. You know,
Yeah.
she just was always incredible.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, at 27, you know, you just think, oh.
Buck City Films I'm in the pickup line to get my kid from school. All right.
Okay.
In Flint, Michigan.
Yeah, when she was on the Ed Sullivan Show. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's right.
My mom saw Chris Hoffman. My mom saw Janis Joplin at Forest Hill Stadium and always told the stories about how she was cursing the cops out all night. These fucking pigs. Yeah.
That's amazing.
What else is there? That is. Hey, just a heads up. 125th and Lex. Yo, funny you should bring that up, Rich Zola. I'm going to tell you something fun. A quick story before we bring our guest on. We're going to bring our guest on in a minute, but I'm going to tell you a quick story about 125th Street because I was just there the other day. I was a little farther west. So I'm driving in New York City and I come off the highway exit right by my house, right? We get off the exit. The guy in front of me makes the right. And I'm like right behind him. I make the right. Cops pull us both over. Like, all right. He's like, you know what I pulled you over for? I'm like, not really. He goes, you didn't yield to the pedestrian in the crosswalk. I'm like, excuse me? This is New York City. You didn't yield to the pedestrian? Like, and I followed the guy in front of me. He's like, yeah,
we
well,
yield to no one.
What's that?
We yield to no one.
Listen, motherfucker, you're lucky I didn't run him over, you know? So he pulls me over. He gives me this chicken shit ticket, right? I mean, to tell you the truth, as soon as I pulled away from him, I basically didn't yield another 5 times trying to make turns in my neighborhood. I mean, crosswalks are filled with people in New York City. If you're going to sit there and wait for no one to be in the crosswalk, you're going to start a road rage riot.
You're going to starve to death in your car. You're never going to get anywhere.
Right. So I get this ticket and I'm like, it's fucked up. And I talk to my people and and I basically figure, you know what? I'm going to plead not guilty and I'm going to go get a court date and I'm going to go in there because I've pleaded not guilty before and a cop didn't show up twice and they excused the ticket or whatever.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm not going down without a fight.
Yeah.
I'm not just handing
over,
you know, and so the bastards in blue, the mafia in blue. Yeah. So I get online and I book this ticket and I get a court date. Right. And I'm like, that's odd. The court date is like 7 days from now. I'm thinking, all right, well, maybe the cop maybe they've improved the system or whatever. Right. So I get this court date and I get up, not that I'm not up early anyway, but I get up and I take the subway up to 125th Street where Rich Zoller was talking about, which is like, really, it's like The Walking Dead up there. It's like, there must be like a methadone clinic right in the area.
Yeah.
Like, it's like something out of like, you know, Fear the Walking Dead. Right.
Right.
And I go in I go into the DMV and I'm standing there looking at the board and I'm like kind of confused. And this woman says, you got to scan in or you'll be standing here all day. And she goes, what time's your appointment? I said, 10:30. She goes, that can't be. That's not right. Let me see your ticket. Right. So I saw the ticket and she's like, that doesn't make any sense. I said, it's the date that they gave me. She goes, come with me. She comes in, she brings me in into her office and she gets on her computer and she goes, yeah, you got the date right, but it's 2026. I said, really? A year, 1 year. I'll be back in a year for this ticket. Yeah, okay. Great. 2026. I call Rochelle. I'm like, you're not going to believe this. She's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, last thing I thought was that it's going to be, 2026. So Rich Zola says, bro, it's crazy on 100. So I staggered out into the zombie wasteland, back down into the number 2 train, where everybody's like, you notice in the subway now, like, everybody's like plastered against the wall when you go into the New York City subway now. Like, because everybody, because people got pushed in front of the train. So you go in there, people like, you go down into the subway now, and it's like a bunch of people against the wall, and me like standing like.
Well, just to kind of like in comparison stories, I got pulled over once. That red light, like running a red light right over the Williamsburg Bridge.
Yeah.
Ran a red light, just ran it. I was like, I don't know what this red light is here. I'm just going.
Right.
Get pulled over. I don't have my driver's license on me. I can't find my insurance card. I showed the cop my library card. Okay. Uh-huh. And he goes, Farmingdale, huh? I said, yeah. He goes, you go to Farmingdale High School? I said, yeah. But what year did you graduate? I told him. He goes, I went to Farmingdale too. You're lucky. And he let me go.
That's fucking funny. You see, women could get away with that. Actually, how long ago was that?
It was in my 20s when
I was. Yeah. Nowadays, cops have body cams. You can't get away with that anymore. Hey, just real quick, I want to mention that Stephen Messina has a show with Serial Poets coming up. It's the Serial Poets Gone Stereo, Bitters and Distractions, No Coincidence, and the Pilot Program at the Calling Bell on Saturday, March 22nd. That's where you had your art show, right?
That's where I had my art show, and that's also my birthday show.
Oh.
I'm declaring it.
Come on back to the Calling Bell, y'all.
Come on back.
Yep. Is it free to get in? Yeah. Oh, $5 suggested donation.
Yeah, suggested.
What is this? The Met? Suggested. Let me tell you, something, when I go into the museum here in New York and it's like suggested donation, I'm like, fuck you. How's that sound? You know what my donation is? Go fuck yourself. I've lived in New York my whole life. I've probably put, that's, what my suggested donation, you're lucky I'm here. Get the money from these tourists. You see these people from Italy or these people from Spain? Not me, bro. I've lived in this neighborhood my whole life. Museum of Natural History. Better knock it off. I'm here to see the dinosaur bones. All right, enough silliness. Here we go. God.
All
right, let's bring on today's guest. I'm sorry. I know, Sable, I'm sorry. It went on a little long today. Here we go. Today's guest is an acclaimed photographer hailing from the Golden State of California. In the punk world, she's known for her incredible archive of photos from the early 1980s, including shots of Social Distortion, Bad Religion, Black Flag, Minor Threat, Misfits, and many, many others. In addition, American Photo Magazine calls her one of the top 10 wedding photographers in the world. Please welcome, coming at us from lovely Palm Springs, California, Miss Dina Douglas. Hey.
Hey,
how are you?
Guys. Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
So great to see you.
Good. It's so great to see you. Thank you so much for having me on.
How's things in Palm Springs?
There is snow on the mountain and beautiful clouds all around the mountain. It's gorgeous right now. Gorgeous.
Wow.
It's pretty brutal in the summer. So, yeah.
How? Nancy Burrill says hi.
Hi, Nancy.
there you go. How far is Palm Springs from LA?
It's about 2 hours. It's about 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
So it's longer mileage wise, but driving, as long as you drive at night, it's quicker than going from LA to Orange County in the day.
Sure.
Because that can take 4 hours.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I still work in LA a lot, and
Right.
I just drive the night before. So.
Yeah, that's the way to get around in LA. I mean,
Oh.
I've lived out there a couple times. It's like LA's cool as long as you go out like after midnight. You're good.
After midnight, you're good, or between 9:30 and 1 in the day, and that's it.
Right.
No other time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No other time. Yeah.
That's because I think Frank Zappa said, I saw an interview where he talked about like the LA freeway system has like 5 lanes, and if you go out after midnight, you're basically you're good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's bounce the ball back and forth a little bit, and let's talk about your photography career and such. How did you come up? How did photography and music come into your life? Did you grow up in a household with this stuff?
I did not grow up in a household like Alison Braun did. My dad is actually a doctor. So there was not a lot of, though I found a lot of old Polaroids lately old Polaroid cameras and cases that he bought. Photography was not a big thing in our family. I had an Instamatic camera, and then I got a better camera, and I got into punk, and I started bringing my camera to punk shows, and it became a huge obsession, and I just constantly shot every punk show that I could, and no one cared about the images. A few bands did, but no one else cared, and all the photos sat in my closet for
Whoa, Skipper.
I'm sorry.
You just told your whole. Okay, thanks for watching the show, everybody. And that was Dina Douglas. Whoa, sister. Whoa. So, what was the first music that came into your orbit? Like, what was the first music that you connected with?
Oh, that I connected with as a person?
Yeah, like when you were a young kid, like growing up. What was
when I was a young kid, I went through my parents' albums and probably related to the James Taylor first album and Aqualung by Jethro Tull.
There you go.
And for some reason, those were the 2 albums I listened to out of their collection.
Wow.
And then when I started getting a little bit of money from mowing the lawn and could talk my mom into taking me to Music Plus, then I started, and my friend Debbie's sister was much cooler than we were. That's when you started discovering the Ramones and early Gary Newman and some of that early stuff. And, my record collection just went in a completely different direction pretty quickly.
Yeah, Debbie's older sister, was always very cool.
Yeah, Debbie's older sister, yeah. The first concert I ever saw was Gary Newman.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We went in the back of Debbie's older sister's station wagon.
Wow.
Is that
Cool.
when he had Cars, that was a big hit? And
yeah, it was at the Forum. I was
at the LA Forum?
14 years old. Yeah.
Is that when he came out in that little car? I remember.
Yes, he had that little car for the song "Down in the Park." Yeah, yeah, we were big Gary Newman fans back in the day. He had some cool stuff.
Yeah,
he's underrated as an artist, I think.
Oh yeah, my wife loves Gary Newman, and like if you follow Gary Newman on Instagram, seems like the coolest family man. He's like very, very cool, Gary Newman. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from Gary Newman, there was a little bit of a sort of I don't know if it's a progression or a digression to sort of punker stuff. What did that look like?
So Gary Newman was the first show. The second show was The Police, and the third show I ever saw was X. And from there, it was only punk. Just for years, it just dominated my life and everything I listened to, and all the albums I bought, and all the singing I was doing at home, to like X records and early Susie records, and then I was just creative and started bringing my camera. So yeah.
Where did you grow up? Where did this happen?
I grew up kind of in the middle of nowhere in Malibu Lake. It's Malibu BOU, Malibu
Wow.
Lake, California. It's actually in Agoura. And so it's about 5 exits north of where the Bad Religion guys all grew up. So it's just north of the San Fernando Valley. Yeah, so kind of in the middle of nowhere. And my dad had a really great stereo and just, Macintosh receiver, like excellent turntable. And I just sat by the record player in the middle of nowhere, unable to drive, and listening to punk records. And my dad wasn't home, he was working, but my mom was just super tolerant of me singing every song that I possibly could.
Yeah, the Police were great live. Early on, the Police were great. I think the Police were kind of like a couple of other bands that were great early on until you just couldn't get away from them. Until you just couldn't, the Police were great, when that first record came out, maybe but once every time you turned a corner, it was the Police. You were like, ugh, enough.
Yeah,
already.
it was definitely on the second album tour, I think, for Regatta de Blanc, and my mom drove us. I couldn't drive then. I was a kid, so my mom actually took me and 2 friends, and then she's like, "Stingy's so hot." So my mom's very cute.
Even my dad liked the Police early on. It was like they were great. How does photography intersect with the punk rock thing early on? How did the photography thing start? Was it a class in school? How did you get into photography, so to speak?
That is a good question. I mean, I always took photos in the neighborhood, like I said, with an Instamatic camera and just around the neighborhood. And I always liked portraiture. And I skipped 11th and 12th grade and started college 2 months after I turned 16. And I immediately got into journalism and got into photography in college. And my original major was, I was going to go into photography. And then I'm like, I will never make a living in photography. I better major in something else. So that's why I switched my major to journalism. But I just spent all my time in the darkroom. And when I finally started going to shows, I use the college darkroom almost every day, making prints from those shows.
So you were like a relatively younger person on a college campus.
Yeah.
I was, and I did not have the social skills to be there. I did great in my classes. It wasn't that. It's just I was so self-conscious. And I would walk by groups of punks that I could have talked to, and I was dressing all punk, and I was scared to talk to them, which makes no sense at all, because I could have just gone over and went, "Hey," and everyone would have been cool. But I was scared to death of people. So
yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Until I got into journalism and started writing for the paper and, the college paper and doing all my punk rock photography, I just was a little bit scared to approach people. So
what was the first camera you had? I mean, what inspired you to sort of, who inspired you as a photographer early on? Was there anybody else out there? Were there any peers that really inspired you?
Peers in the punk world, or books that my mom got me?
I think any photographer anywhere.
My mom got me some books like the Time Life book of photojournalism, the best photojournalism that had come out in that magazine.
Sure.
And I just lived for that book. And she also got me a portraiture book by Yusef Karsh, which is a huge coffee table book. And he used to shoot with an 8x10 camera. And he did that famous Winston Churchill portrait of him with the cigar, looking all angry. Sure. And I just spent hours and days and just studying all of that. And so those 2 books in particular really informed my own love of photography. And I really loved photojournalism, like capturing moments. I always loved that, wherever it was, doing anything. So, yeah.
Yeah. And this is what's the backstory? This is
I love you, Brenda.
Brenda loves you, and
Brenda Perlin, yeah. She's she's an LA punk rocker. She has a great account. Yeah. Great person.
Is this your first camera?
That is my first camera. That's not my Instamatic camera, but it's my first camera where I could actually shoot shoot real photography,
The old Canon AE1.
Canon AE1, yeah. That I still have it. Yeah.
That's incredible. What's the backstory with how you got this camera?
have a little bit of a backstory on that, which is that my father used to collect Persian carpets. He's a doctor, but he collected Persian rugs, and he, over time, made friends with LA Laker Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who collected certain types of Persian rugs, and Kareem would occasionally come to our house to see what my dad had to sell, which was pretty funny in and of itself. But
Wow.
at some point, a rug my dad had given me, Kareem became interested in it. My dad brokered the sale, and with the profit on that rug, which wasn't a ton, might have been like $600, I was able to buy that camera. So
Wow.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar actually helped me purchase my this camera, which I did buy with my own money at maybe age 14 or 15. I'm not sure.
Wow, that's incredible.
That's incredible.
I know, it's kind of a funny story. I forgot about it until I was kind of thinking about this show. Yeah.
You know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he kind of comes up in history a lot, that guy. He was like one of Bruce Lee's students. He was, you know, music guy, jazz lover. You know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar comes up a lot. Hey,
Yes.
Brooke Smith says hi.
Brooke, hi. Your book title is like my favorite book title, Sunday Matinee. I just love it so much. I was actually mentioning it to a friend just last week about how you just have the best book title. So thank you for putting together that book. I love it.
Hope you're well, Brooke. Nice to know you're out there, Brooke. Yeah. And here is what you call the Germs Flash.
The Germs Flash was my original Vivitar Flash, which has a built-in Germs logo on either side. The hinge just happened to be, looks like a Germs logo to me. And I still had this flash, which I couldn't believe. It was broken in half, probably by someone kicking me. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think the built-in Germs logo is pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. And I know we're hopping around here a little bit, but that's how but we're known to do that. I did see.
Now, when you first started taking these photos, did you have in mind that they were going to be for like a zine, or did you sell them? Did you sell the prints? What were you doing?
No, because my lack of self-confidence, like I was scared to approach a magazine like Flipside or Nomag or anything. I think a couple of my photos did run in Nomag at one point, and maybe one in Flipside, but it was probably given to the magazine by the band. You know, I never approached bands. I was just, you know, I was 16 years old, 17 years old. So I was just too shy. You know, I was pretty confident behind the camera. But I hid behind my camera. I just absolutely hid behind my camera. And, you know, Glenn Friedman, who I never met, was, you know, he's older than me. And Ed Culver they're older than me. And they're great guys. That's not it. It's just they were more confident to talk to the bands, I assume. And I was not. I just kind of went and took my photos, and then I went home, and sometimes I bring photos back. Sorry?
And then you just put them in the closet.
Yeah, and then I just put that, you know, I bring them to Gary Tovar from Golden Voice every so often. And I, you know, sometimes was able to bring them to bands. And, you know, Greg Hudson from the Circle Jerks was very studious and was always like super excited to see photos at the time. And, you know, but half the bands never saw any of these photos.
Wow.
Well, that's something that I remember from being around, you know, and being in a band in the early 80s is like people would constantly come to the shows and take pictures, and you would never see them. Yeah. It was like, hey, can we take it, you know, take pictures, this and that. You'd never, ever, 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 rarely see these pictures that people would take, because back then people would shoot something called film, and you had to take the film and you had to develop it. And then
well, we also didn't have like the connection that we have now either. You know, you couldn't just post it somewhere, you know, you had to like go, you know, either mail them or see the bands again or whatever. I mean, a lot of my friends who took photographs back then, they would print them out and like maybe sell them at like, you know, the flea market, or, you know, and it was a huge thing to get like, you know, a photo of a concert that you were at, you know, that was, you know,
It just never even occurred to me that I could do that. I was just too young, you know. If I had been 3 or 4 years older and shooting the shows that I shot, I might have done something more with the photos, or even brought them out sooner. Because I just started bringing them out last year. So
which is
hey, I personally, it's great. I mean, I think that like as a bit of a musical historian, so to speak, I just it's so thrilling when somebody goes back into the drawer and digs them out after 40 years. You know, there's stuff we've all seen along. You know what? We've seen Glenn Friedman stuff. We've seen Ed Culver stuff. That stuff's been around forever. But when someone like yourself, Dina, like kind of circles back and finally scans the stuff, you know, it's like, holy mackerel, you know, like, what's her name in New York needs to do that. What's the name? What's her name? I'm forgetting. It'll come back. Or maybe somebody, what's her, she's a photographer, shot tons and tons and tons of New York stuff, and she's yet to scan all her stuff. It's like, come on.
It's like,
you know?
it's like finding it, like it's a time capsule, you know? It's
for sure.
Amazing. Yeah.
100. Yes. BJ Pappas. Thank you. BJ Pappas, who I'm friends with, her whole incredible film archive, I don't think it's ever been scanned.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, she's just busy. She's like, I'm busy. I
eventually sent my negatives away to get them scanned. I drove them to some place a couple hours away and I delivered them in person, and it took a couple months. And I did that in 2014. Yeah. And then I just didn't have time to deal with anything. And again, it just kind of sat on my computer and went back in the closet because I just, you know, I work a lot. I'm a pro photographer. So I'm always on deadline. So it just didn't occur to me. So
yeah. What was the first show with your, as a young person, a very excited young person, what was the first show that you went at, like punk show that you went and shot?
Well, that's kind of an interesting question that you've just asked, because I think it might have been Annie Posty and the Effigies at Godzilla's. Now, I might have shot X at the Country Club on Kodacolor Gold prior to that, but let's just say I started shooting Ektachrome and making color Xerox photocopies. Wow. And I'm doing my book with Brian Ray from, Brian Ray Turcotte from, he works at the Punk Rock Museum and has Kill Your Idols Publishing, and he's just amazing. And he's like, wait, you have color photocopies? Can I see them? And then he dated all of them. He had the dates for all of the shows. And I think the earliest show might have been January 1st, 1982. Wow. Which was Annie Posty and the Effigies at Godzilla's. At least that's the earliest Ektachrome I can find, like the earliest color photocopy. Yeah.
Let's do a little show and tell, and look at some stuff, and hopefully you could give us some perspective. Like chronologically, I'm not sure where I'm going with it, but we'll just sort of let's see what comes up here, and we'll start. You mentioned these guys living kind of close to you, and there you go.
Yep, that's Greg Graffman from Bad Religion, and I actually met Jay Bentley at Godzilla's, and we just became friends. I think he's about a year older than me, maybe 2, I don't remember. But we became friends, and they invited me to a practice in their garage, and Brett gave me a copy of How Could Hell Be Any Worse, and Greg did not want to talk to me at all. I absolutely recall that he did not want me hanging around and never really talked to me, though I think he's one of the most literate. I mean, at the time, his lyrics just blew me away. I still think How Could Hell Be Any Worse is such a great album, but so they were also from the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, I think it looks like he's rocking a Motorhead shirt, possibly. That's
he might be, yeah. I actually bought Motorhead once.
Could be a Motorhead shirt under there in 1982. You mentioned Godzilla's, and is it true that you had like a false bottom in your camera bag that you could sneak? You would explain that sort of strategy.
Well, none of the clubs would let you bring in your flash. Like a few would, but most were like, no flash. And I don't even know why they were saying that. There were so few photographers at the time that didn't make any sense. There's like a no flash policy now, but at the time, the cameras kind of couldn't handle stuff and the lighting wasn't professional and you kind of needed a flash. But I did have a false bottom in this kind of random camera bag that I had, and I just shoved my germs flash underneath that false bottom. And and was able to get it into all of these shows. So,
and wait, once you're in, you take your flash out and use a flash, and nobody goes, "Hey, wait a second."
Yeah, it wasn't that organized. So
right.
People would be like, "No flash photography," and then you got inside and no one cared. And Edward Culver had his flash at all these shows. Everybody did. So we all found ways to get in our flash. And
sure.
But I did have a false bottom, kind of like this weird panel, and I just kind of shoved it under. So
yeah.
That's awesome.
Here's another one. Do you remember where?
That is at Ukrainian Cultural Center. It was kind of one of the infamous Black Flag gigs. And this is a vertical crop of the photo. The horizontal crop of the photo actually has Earl Liberty in it. And he's rocking like a big, stash. And so I've cropped him out for years because I didn't know who he was. So I'm a little embarrassed about that. But I feel pretty lucky that I was able to get this really close-up photo because this show was so chaotic and violent. I mean, everyone was just crushing everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah. How was that in the early days with you being younger and being at all these shows?
What was the first part?
You bumped around a lot at these shows being,
Yeah. I mean, I was able to get some of these shows because I was sometimes able to get access on the side of the stage. I'm sure you've seen other people's photos where there's some photographers kind of, over behind the artist. So a lot of us got our best photos if we could get on the stage. But if you were actually shooting down in the pit, you'd get bruised ribs and kicked and shoved. And I think my flash is probably broken because someone flew off a stage and just, broke it in half. So that may not have even been my first flash. It might have been my second one. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Minor Threat. Is this at what did Minor Threat play back then? Is this not the Starwood? No.
This is at Rollerworks in Chatsworth.
Right, that's it. Rollerworks.
I thought it was their only show, but I recently learned they also played the Café de Grand, which was kind of, a tiny little club with a low ceiling, and it was in a basement. And I didn't even know about that show. So the Rollerworks show, there was quite a few of us there. I have Linda Arenals in the back of one of my photos and Marla Watson. And they both have books out, and they're so supportive and such nice people. They were both at this show as well. But yeah, the Rollerworks show it's pretty infamous. I think someone got stabbed at the end of the show. I think the show might have been called off early. I'm not fully familiar with the story, but I believe someone did get pretty hurt at that show towards the end.
You know what I noticed? Let me find this shot that I'm looking for this one shot. Hold on.
And when you went to these shows, were you there with your friends, or would you just take off on your own, or what were you?
I grew up in such a rural area that I often did go on my own. A couple of, there was a girl in my neighborhood that also got into punk, and so sometimes she would go with me. And sometimes I just went by myself. So, and photography is a kind of solitary pursuit.
Yeah.
And once you get there, you might recognize a few people or chat for a while, and then you're just working. I never met Linda Arenal at the time. I never met Brenda Perlin at the time. And we were at so many of the same shows.
Okay, so even like what you would just be standing around other photographers and not even interacting with them.
No, I knew Allison Braun at the time, and we'd say hi, and then we just kind of went our separate ways because we were really intent on what we were doing.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a better way.
No,
we weren't hanging out and sharing tips like now. Photographers were all in, private groups on Facebook and talking about this and that. But at the time, we were just kind of in our own little respective worlds. Like Allison was doing this, and Marla was doing this, and Linda and I was doing this, and didn't really talk that much. Marla a little bit because we were at the same college. So I knew her a little bit. She has a better memory than I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah.
I love this crowd shot.
Yeah, I was looking at this crowd shot when I was setting up the show, and just sort of marveling at the youth. It's just all really young people. There's not even a person over 20 in the crowd. And as far as I can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5. I guess I see 5 or 6 gals in the photo, but like this is like a real representation of those shows back then. I mean, it's all young people, you know.
Oh yeah, you could go to a show if you were super young. Like some clubs had a 16 and over, you know, and you would just get a wristband saying if you couldn't buy alcohol or something. But you know, so many clubs now are 21 and over, and at the time, if you were a kid, you could still go. So it was just a great place to be able to go and like have an outlet for your creativity or interest in music or bands that nobody, you know.
Yeah, there's
no place for kids to do this anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Interesting. Manel says not one tattoo. You know, it's like it is really a real snapshot of like 1982 Los Angeles punk scene. You know, mostly, you know, young. I don't even want to say young men. Mostly boys. You know, no tattoos. A couple of tough ass women in the mix.
Yeah,
because you know, gals had to be tough, man, to be in the mix back then. You know, to be like right in the mix.
I love that you use like a crowd shot as your first, you know, photo. You said you had agonized over the first photo that you were going to post.
Oh, that I posted on Instagram?
Yes, on Instagram when you started up your punk photography page. So what made you ultimately go with a crowd shot?
I loved the lighting on that guy's face. Like, was it Steve McKinney? I mean, a bunch of people knew who that kid was. He's never got in touch with me. But you know, you always wonder, it's 40 years later. So it's like, are these people still alive? You know, we've all heard about people that have passed away and stuff. And I don't know, that photo just spoke to me in so many ways. And that was at a discharge shot. It's not this one, it was a different one, but yeah, that first one. And I couldn't believe how many people all of a sudden started following me because I posted this one photo.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
You know, one of the things that I like about your photography, and I've interacted with many photographers through the years, and you actually captured some of the crowd and the community and the culture. And I can't emphasize how many photographers that I've interacted with who took nothing but what was on the stage. Like, it almost didn't compute. Like, there's a community and a culture here that is incredibly vibrant and is just as important as what's going on the stage. And this should be documented just as much as what's going on the stage. And I commend you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. I think it has something to do with studying photojournalism as well, you know, and really documenting what was happening. But, you know, you were shooting very fast, and this was more interesting than what was going on the stage at the time. So,
is that who that?
Back in the days, you were shooting like 6 rolls of film, and you were saving your film for the headliner. And, you know, at some shows I was able to get some crowd, or sometimes you were waiting around or something more interesting was happening in the crowd. And I have a million blurry shots like we all do. We're all like trying so hard and stuff's moving so fast. That's the shot that Lori had mentioned. The first one that I posted on.
Oh, that's the one?
Yeah, on my Instagram account. Yeah, that was at Discharge at the Olympic, which was a pretty historic show. So,
yeah.
And I love how I don't know if it was on this photo or another crowd shot photo where somebody compared crowd shots to like a Last Supper painting. And now I can't get that out of my mind, you know?
You know,
it's a moment in time that.
Yeah, and all the different expressions and, you know, movement of what's going on. Yeah.
It's interesting. The LA crowd circa 1982 as compared to sort of the New York City crowd that, you know, that I know on this end, really, they're really identifiable. They're really different, you know? Interesting.
They were so big. There
Yeah.
were so many people, and none of us knew much about New York or what was happening in DC because there was no social media. And, we were all mailing, finding flyers, or a friend would call us on our landline and go, "Oh, I have a flyer for the show." I mean, it was very analog back in those days.
Yeah.
So we just didn't have a sense that much of what was going on the East Coast, I'm sad to say.
Yeah, 100%. And this is from that Ukrainian Hall show as well, correct?
It is, yeah. It is. It's from that same Black Flag show. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have gotten that if I wasn't on the stage. So it was a really lucky moment, I have to say. And this kid's, I don't know if you can see, but the kid's pants are actually split in the crotch.
Yes,
I think it adds to it. Yeah.
Yeah, good. You mentioned.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I know, yeah. I like those little details.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And I learned about those little details, and about what makes like a great shot, like when you're looking at something, you're like, oh, okay, the face and this and that. But then when you zoom in, like Rich Zoller actually taught me this, when you zoom in and you see like the threads hanging from the ripped pants or the guitar strings or the fingernails, that's when you know you got a great shot. Yeah.
There's a photo of Mike Ness where he just has this random piece of thread in the, near his cuff on his pants. And he also has a hole in the knee. And he's just sitting there clutching a beer. And those little details just make that shot so interesting to me.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I think
you do. If he's sitting in a corner with a mannequin behind him.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go. Boom.
And he actually showed up on my page and said he was really happy to see this photo and that he loved the backstory and the little pieces of stuff that I had observed. I could retouch out that dirt on his thigh and the little thread that you can see by the cuff of his pants, or I could fix the knee, but why? That's exactly what he looked like at the time. And he's clutching a beer and he's got his one glove. And this was at a vintage clothing store that used to do punk shows called 1313 Mockingbird.
There you go. Sable 30 knows 1313 Mockingbird.
Yeah. So they would.
Wasn't that the name of that? Was not the address of the Munsters? 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
Yes, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would move all the racks of clothes, and there was definitely no green room or backstage there. So he's just sitting in a corner waiting to play. Like the Social Distortion played all the time. They were always playing and always trying to get better.
Yeah.
So, but it's such a random shot that at the time I didn't even realize I had it, or I didn't print it or anything. And when you go back through your shots and, now 40 years later, you're like, oh my God, this is such a great moment in time that I didn't even pay attention to back then when I was a teenager. So.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the
because now you're looking at them differently, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And this is it fair to assume that this shot of Mike is that the same show? That
is not. That is outside Al's bar, and Mike was Social Distortion was playing with the Brat. The Brat was opening. They opened for a lot of bands. They were fantastic. And he called me and asked if I could come early and take some photos of them. And I didn't know how to pose people at all at the time.
Right.
But I was one of the people he knew with a camera. And I came down and I took this shot of him hugging a pole outside Al's bar. And I actually have another shot of him inside Al's bar. And he's like, oh, this is a really cool room. And there's a lot of graffiti in it. But the lights were out. It was completely black. And I said, I can't see anything. He goes, just take a photo. And I popped off one photo, and it's like my favorite portrait of Mike. I don't think I sent it to you. It's definitely going to be in my book, but I shot it blind, and it ended up being one of my favorite portraits of him from that time.
You mentioned the Discharge Olympic Auditorium show. Is this shot of Cal, I assume, from that show? And was this the show where they kind of came out and played sort of their new stuff and people were kind of freaked out?
It is not. This is the show where they were playing, their their heyday of everybody remembering Discharge as being like just the most insane punk band out there. And this show, people still talk about it being one of the best punk shows they ever saw. And I don't even know how I got backstage. This was at the Olympic Auditorium. And I don't know how I got this photo and why he was willing to pose for me. And I have some photos of the other guys in the band posing as well. And my photos from the stage are not that great. They're blurry, most of them, because they were moving so fast. But I just really liked that quiet moment.
Yeah.
I was going to say that a lot of like your, offstage, I guess, portraits, it does have like, they do have like a very, very relaxed vibe. Like people were really comfortable with you.
I don't know why. I mean, I try to make people comfortable with me, but at the time I was like, look into the camera. I was like 17 years old or 18 or something. So I don't think I was directing people that well. So maybe they just had stage presence and were sharing it or were more comfortable around the camera, but thank you. Right. But I don't know how much I had to do with it. Maybe the composition, I've always had like a portraiture, a strong eye for portraiture.
Yeah.
So I think Alison Braun does as well. Yeah.
Could you tell us and our audience, who is this and how did he play into things?
Oh, this is Big Frank. And Big Frank, bless his heart, he was the Golden Voice stage manager, and he scared me to death because he just looks intimidating. And come to find, he's the biggest sweetheart in the world. And I just didn't know it at the time. Again, this was a big, fully grown man. Alison Braun has mentioned that too. We were really young girls, 15, 16, 17. So somebody that was in their 20s was much more intimidating to us than they might be now. But he was the Golden Voice stage manager, and every so often he'd let you get on the stage for 5 minutes and then kick you off. Or you'd look up and go, and then he'd be like, and you couldn't get on the stage. And so it wasn't his fault. He was just doing his job and he was trying to keep people safe. But it took me years to realize I wouldn't have some of my very best photos if it wasn't for Big Frank letting me on the stage sometimes. So I have a lot to be grateful to him for sure.
Yeah. Brooke says we had Big Charlie and you guys had Big Frank, and they were like, basically, let me see, where's my Big Charlie shots? Here you go. Here's a good Big Charlie shot. I'm trying to get this is kind of like, you guys had Big Frank, we had Big Charlie. They were basically the same guy on two different coasts.
That's so funny.
Yeah, this is Big Charlie here.
Oh, Big Charlie! I've never seen him before.
Yeah,
I love it.
He was the guy that was on stage at CBGB's.
No. Oh wow, that's awesome! I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but at the time you were mad. I'm like, I have my camera. I want to take these pictures, and he's like, and so you did the best you could, and then you just kind of gave up to a certain extent if you couldn't get close enough. With time and space, it's like I am so grateful to him for ever letting me on the stage. So
let me ask you: you took all these shots, a lot of them, and I know we're kind of going along the timeline here, and we're going to talk about how they ended up sort of in a draw for almost 40 years. But when you took these shots, did you go right into the dark room? Did you develop stuff? Did you make or did they just? I know some people are like, yo, I shot it. It was a roll. I never even developed it. It went in, and that was that.
Oh no, I came back to college and I used the darkroom facilities. You had to sign up. You didn't have to sign up to develop and process film, but you had to sign up for darkroom time. And I was signed up just constantly. I would fill as much space as I could because that was the only darkroom I had. So I'd come back and
did you have to pay for the services, or was it just?
No, it was included as part of at junior college. It was part of the newspaper and part of the photography program. Yeah. And you were supposed to sign up to come in and make prints for your assignments, but I just signed up constantly so I could make my punk rock prints, and then I would turn in punk rock prints for every assignment. And they're like, yeah, no, that mohawk is not a geometric design in nature. And I'm like, but it is. So I tried to turn in Wadi for a geometric design in nature, and that didn't work. So
I love it.
I want Pete Kohler, our friend and supporter from Sick of It All, says Big Frank booked some of our first Sick of It All shows in California back in the day, and all my love and respect to Big Charlie, a great person, always made you feel welcome when you were new at the scene. So right on, Pete Kohler, and this is true. So,
and Big Frank passed away recently, and we reconnected when I started my punk Instagram, and he reached out, and I hadn't talked to him since I don't even know if I ever even really talked to him as a teenager. And all of a sudden, here's this wonderful artist and tattoo artist, and just the sweetest man. And we would text, and I texted him until like 9:30, and he died that night.
Wow!
I found out 2 days later that he had passed away by morning.
Wow!
I was so sad about it. That I never got to see him in person. It was really nice to reconnect. We texted for about a year, and that was really nice.
That's one of the good things about the internet and social media.
Yeah.
Although it is filled with heinous activity, deplorable, disgusting activity,
that's one of the good things. Yeah.
We're here right now, connecting with people around the world, and just you connecting with him, and that's great stuff. I mean, that's some of the good that comes out. It does connect people.
Oh yeah.
In some regard.
So many people have reached out. It's really lovely. Yeah. Really, really.
Have you connected with any of the people in the crowd shots? Like, hey, that was me. There's no.
Oh yeah. That's one of the most fun. I've almost abandoned my professional events Instagram because it's like flowers and a corporate event, and people go apathetic because people share so many stories on my Instagram account, and it's so much fun.
It's very cool.
These stories where people go, "Oh, that's my friend."
Right, because I'm sure a lot of people, they go to the shows, and we didn't bring cameras with us back then. So, all of a sudden, if there's a picture of you in the crowd, it's exciting. Yeah.
Oh yeah, people get so excited or reach out to their friends, or and people go, "Oh, that's my dad."
I love it.
That is my dad.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a really cool Instagram account. This Jessica Jolly, she's doing video. So she's doing iconic show footage, and then trying to find the people in the crowd, that kind of stand out to all of us.
Oh,
so yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I think Marla Watson's working on a book called A Face in the Crowd, where she's having a lot of crowd stories and stuff. So I love that people are doing that.
Yeah.
I got that confused. Another project that somebody got in touch with me about, which was pretty interesting, is how you see some of these old shots, and there's two photographers on stage, or they're matching up, sort of like this person and that person, and sometimes 3 people or 4 people. Right. They're sort of
sometimes it'll be the same moment, or a couple of minutes apart, maybe.
Yeah.
Cool.
Here's a shot. Here's a shot of Dina shooting TSOL back in the day. So they would sort of take. Here's a shot. You can see her in the back there. So there's Brenda's photo where you see Dina in the back, and then I guess they're trying to find Dina's photo to sort of match something in the other. Yeah. It's sort of like this.
Well, put her in touch with me, because I actually found a photo that I took where Brenda Perling is in the back.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "Is this you?" And she's like, "Oh my God, there's hardly any photos of me from then." She's blurry in the back. So I actually do have 1 or 2 photos from that side with Brenda in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's that's do you have an idea where this is from?
Is it Ukrainian?
I don't know.
Is that, I don't remember.
Does that match? I'm just looking to see if Jackie's wearing this. Yeah, Jackie's wearing the same stuff. This is one of your shots. This is probably that show, right? I mean, unless this.
Jack had velvet pants, and then
that
was the same show. Yeah.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah. So he came out in a cape, and then he took it off, and then, the shirt came off at some point, but he's wearing like velvet pants, and I think it's like an AFI belt buckle. It was Jack had a look.
Listen, Jack is the best, man.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
I'm a big fan of Jack's, man.
We were all in love with Jack. All the young girls, we were like,
"Is that right,
Jack?" Yeah,
is that
we
right?
were all scared to talk to him. Yeah,
he was like a handsome, like Huntington Beach guy, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
He was scary.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He had a lot of presence.
Still does.
He had a lot of presence and charisma, and you can't buy that. You can't manufacture that. Some people just have it. So
quick funny story. My brother's on a plane, right? And he's texting me. He goes, "Yo, these guys just got on the plane. I know you know who they are." And because he has no idea. My brother's not exactly entrenched in the punk and hardcore world, although he grew up as my little brother. And he's like, "I know you." He goes, "They look like a bunch of FORs." And like what we call an FOR is a friend of Ricky. Ricky's a friend of ours who's sort of like that old recovering addict sort of guy who got clean and sober and has that look, the greased back hair. And like, he goes, "They look like a bunch of FORs." And I'm like, wonder who he's talking about. And he goes, and then the next text was, their leader, the leader just came on. He's got some tattoos right under his eye. I go, "Oh, their leader, huh? Tell Jack Grisham you're my brother." And then I say, and then I say, he goes, "Their leader just came on, like came on boisterous on the plane, loud, like the lead." I said, "Oh, that's Jack. Tell Jack, yo, you're Drew's brother."
Yeah, I think people Jack had a true command of the crowd.
Oh yeah,
he had a true command of people, and it was very intimidating. Yeah, I have to say, yeah. I love that guy. Bouncing around here, we need to take a little sponsor break in a minute. But I love when stuff like this comes up. Of course, one of my all-time favorites, and that's Joe Strummer and the Clash. If Mick Jones is still in the band, I'm sort of assuming this is when they were kind of playing with the Who, maybe? No, Combat Rock Tour. Yeah? Combat Rock Tour. So I used all my money. I waited in line at Ticketron or Ticketmaster, whatever it was at the time. Waited in line for hours, and I spent all my money on tickets to see them 4 times. And the English Beat was opening. And it sold out, and then they added another show, and I was out of money. Where was this? I did go 4 times, and getting my camera in was a nightmare. I made a fake press pass that did not work. Ooh. And I ended up making friends with some guy in line that had a VIP pass, and they were able to bring in cameras. And I gave him my camera, and I said, "Will you throw this camera down from the VIP balcony?" Because this was at the Palladium. And he did. I had to go back to the front and wait in a giant line and hope I could get my camera back in an hour. I wouldn't do that now, but at the time it was worth the risk. And he did throw down my bag. And I climbed up in a speaker to get a couple shots of Joe Strummer because the crowd was so big. I actually sat inside a speaker. I think I got 1 or 2 songs before a security guy came and got me down. So I didn't take any photos of the English Beat because I was so worried I would get thrown out with a flash. So pretty lucky to get it. You had to just sort of throw caution to the wind in those days and just hope for this. Hope, not to quote the Glass Menagerie, but I've always relied on the kindness of strangers. It's like, oof, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a fun story. I think Marla Watson was at one of the shows too, and she has a stage shot from the balcony. So it's much further away. But yeah, when I lose my hearing later in life, it will be because of the Clash and me sitting inside that speaker. It was really painful.
Yeah, the Clash.
Now, were there any photos that are missing, or was the collection intact? Did you keep the collection intact?
Oh, of the photos that I have now, I
Yeah.
have all my black and white negatives and they're all sleeved. So I'm glad that
Wow.
I had the presence of mind at the time to sleeve everything because it really did protect the negatives. You know, as Allison had brought up on her show, Allison Braun, you know, emulsion it flecks off and there's scratches
Okay.
and stuff. So but all the black and white film is still holding up beautifully. I did lose my Ektachrome slides, so I only have one copy of the color Xeroxes that I made from the Ektachrome,
Okay.
which Brian Ray just was super excited about because I have like misfits at Vinyl Fetish, you know, wearing,
Wow.
you know, no shirts, and they're, you know, they're just so hulking, and he was really happy with some of the photos. I have Damned at Godzilla's and stuff, just a few, but I don't have the slides anymore. I'm sad to say. I don't know where they went.
Okay.
Not only did the actress set me straight, but the ex-school teacher set me straight that it is in fact a quote from A Streetcar Named Desire.
That's
and
true.
not
Leave.
the Glass Menagerie. Oh, listen, what can I say? I was an acting major at Emerson College, you know, and then I found hardcore. So there you go. Thank you, Brooke, and thank you, Nancy, for keeping me on my toes.
I love them. They're awesome.
Yeah. You get fact checked hard on this show.
Yeah,
you do. One thing I love about this show. I want to take a break, but not just yet. A couple others. You know, since we touched on the Clash, the only band that matters, one of my personal favorites. Here's another one of my faves. What's going on here?
Oh my God, I'm a huge Jam fan, so I'm so glad to hear you say that you love the Jam too. Yeah, Paul Weller, and you know, they used to open up the venues and if you were there, you got to come to the sound check. So they actually came to Pasadena, California, at a place called Perkins Palace, and they played. This was on the tour for The Gift album. And they played 3 shows, and I was able to go to 2 sound checks and 3 shows. Wow. And I was able to get my camera into all of them.
Yeah,
so I was thrilled out of my mind. And actually, Jay Bentley from Bad Religion, because we were friends at the time, I knew he was also a huge Jam fan, and I brought a birthday card, and I had the band sign it. And he recently posted that he still had it. And it was just kind of all these years later, he kept that, but they signed a birthday card for Jay Bentley from Bad Religion.
Wow.
So,
that's cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge Jam fan. They were so ahead of their time.
Yeah.
I love the Jam too. And when
those albums are amazing.
Many years ago, I was out when I was working with Biohazard, I was doing some tour managing. I was out on the road with them, and they were playing one of those festivals in Europe. And there was a lot of bands on the bill, and I was like, I was with my pal Evan Seinfeld, and I was like, holy shit, we got to go take a picture with Paul Weller.
Wow.
So,
that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I can't believe how many albums the Jam put out in such a short time.
Yeah.
It was so prolific.
And Evan was my running buddy, and like Evan peripherally knew who the Jam was, but I was like, it's Paul Weller. Like the equivalent in Evan's world would have been like Steve Harris from Iron Maiden or like Geezer Butler. But like, I was like, holy shit, Paul Weller.
Yeah,
you know?
incredible.
And we've talked about many times, like these European festivals that bands play on. It would be like Biohazard, David Bowie, you know, Paul Weller, and you know, and those things were just so much fun.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one that kind of took me a second to figure out. You want to give us some perspective on this one?
Oh, yeah, that is a Corrosion of Conformity. I think you had someone from Corrosion on earlier in the week, or just Sunday, I think.
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Previous show. Yep. Yeah, this was early Corrosion of Conformity, and Eric, I can't remember how his last name is pronounced, but this was their original lead singer, and this is at the Cathay de Grande. And one of my neighbors kind of peripherally knew them because they were from North Carolina. And so when they came to town in a van, they stayed at my apartment, and we all stayed up all night, you know, drinking and talking because none of us needed any sleep at the time.
Sure.
And they were just the nicest Southern guys.
Yeah.
But that early album, it's amazing.
Yeah. At the
time they said they were really trying to be very Bad Brains, Black Flag. You know, they were pretty hardcore at the time. So yeah, I like that photo.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we just had Carl on the show, and Corrosion was a very interesting band. They went through a lot of different phases.
Yeah,
and a lot of different singers, and they always changed and moved forward, and they're a band that mixed it up. They did a lot of things, and I actually looked it up. I think Corrosion has had like 5 singers. You know,
oh really?
Yeah. Yep. 5 different
there's
singers.
something for everyone.
There's something for welcome.
You don't like one album, you'll like the next.
Krzysztof Wawrzenek, tack you from Poland. Well, tack you back, bro.
Hi, Poland.
Our pleasure. Nice. I hope things are well for you in Poland, my friend. Let me see. You know, I don't want to. This one caught my eye. I thought this was, having grown up in sort of the Reagan era, like, and whenever, you know, everything was, it was like, this is a cool shot. And like, I was just thinking, like, if somebody did the same thing and like wrote on their mohawk, like, "Fuzuck Trump," it's like, I think like the response would be kind of a little different in this kind of world, in this day and age. Because, some people would just, violence would erupt. Both sides are so polarized, So it just sort of made me think about how, like, in the Reagan, like, all the flyer, fuck Reagan, this, Reagan that. And, there was never any sort of like, well, yeah, like, we love Reagan. It was like, everybody was like, fuck Reagan.
There was more unity.
It's funny you say that, because this was at the Rock Against Reagan rally in San Francisco. Okay. And I was visiting a friend, and we just happened to drive by and said, oh, there's some bands playing, let's pull over. But we hadn't sought it out or even heard of it. And this was the first one, not the one that was outside Moscone Center that's more publicized. But when we got there, Dead Kennedys were playing and MDC was playing. And it was, I had dropped my lens and it was broken. And I'm not sure how I even got anything in focus, but because my Dead Kennedys photos are completely blurry, they're just sad. I have one like MDC shot that's okay, but that fuck Reagan shot I think is so of the time, and it's I really like it. I like that that's how people were protesting at the time, and I actually did just find some negatives from Reagan speaking at my college. And I had one of the CIA or Secret Service clearances because I worked for the newspaper, my college newspaper, to photograph them. So I found a bunch of photos, and I don't really care about the Reagan photos with Frank Sinatra and Nancy as much as the signs that people are holding in the audience are great. And they're all pro-Reagan signs. Some of them are misspelled. They're so charming to me. I really love them.
Yeah.
I agree with Cindy. She just posted such a historical photo there.
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder what that guy's doing now.
I think Becca, a girl named Becca that goes by Punk Rock Mom, or she mentioned that he's like, I think he's a bike rider. He might be a professional bike rider or something to do with bikes.
Okay.
Adam 85 says Reagan was the best president. Hey, so was Nixon. It just depends on what your perspective is, my friend. Some say Trump is as well. He was the best.
The best at what?
Right. Nixon was awesome. Nixon was great too.
Sad about that right now.
Hey,
the best.
There you go. So, our friend in Poland, our new friend in Poland, says not only does he say punk's not dead, but he says, I love the exploited. Well, my friend, we love the exploited too. So that sort of segues into, tell us about this one.
Oh, well, this was the Exploited playing at the Olympic Auditorium. And one of my favorite parts of this shot is not just that Wadi's in focus and looks great, but that hand clutching his jacket at the bottom. I love it. I probably didn't even notice it at the time, or I might have even cropped it out, but in the full frame file, seeing that hand clutching Wadi is amazing to me. So I really love this shot. And Wadi loved seeing it too when I first posted it. He reposted it on his account. And it's fun for these guys. These guys never saw any of these photos. You know, they kind of came to town and left. And I didn't know how to get in touch with them. And, you know, like I said, I was pretty young. So they're all loving these photos. They're like, oh my God, you know, they're pretty happy.
Yeah, I had noticed that too. So dramatic.
Huh?
I had noticed that too when I looked at the photo, the hand.
Yeah.
You know, just so dramatic.
Yeah. And they're still playing, and I mean,
he's well, you know, you have like hardcore like soldiers and you know and sergeants or whatever in this world. You know, Wadi's like a general. Wadi, that guy's been on the front lines for forever. Like what Astoria Lou says, we caught the Exploited 2 years ago in Astoria. He was still ripping it. You know, the Exploited played around the corner from where my wife, now wife, lives in Astoria, literally around the corner. They played like a Greek catering hall. And we were like, yo, we gotta go. We gotta go check this out. Like it was like a one and done gig, you know what I mean? In some like weird Greek catering hall or something. And we went and Wadi's up there, you know, however old he is, with his shirt off, with the big zipper scar down the front of his chest. Yo, Wadi's Wadi. It's only one Wadi.
So Pete from Sick of It All said he has that on his shirt. I'm not sure what have that on his shirt.
You have what on a shirt?
Well, you shouldn't.
But I just wanted to give a quick shout out to May Ling, who's working with Less Than Jake.
Oh, is that right? She's out with Less Than Jake?
She's out with Less Than Jake. I just want to give a shout out to women working in music. She's out there.
Okay.
So I wish her the best. Yeah, she's got a couple of days with them.
Cindy says there's something very special about Dina's use of whites in her black and white photos.
I agree. I feel like it's like such a young age. Your photography seemed just so developed and mature.
You know, I think I have my mom to thank for some of that. My dad's a doctor, but my mom's an artist. She was a nurse till I was born and then became a wonderful artist. And I feel, you know, I'm a left brain, right brain, no dominant side, you know, person. And I have to really thank my mom for whatever I inherited from her that gave me a strong sense of composition, because I don't feel like I knew what I was doing at that age. But when I've been a professional photographer for 22 years now. And when I go back through the negatives and the composition works and I'm looking through a professional eye, I'm really surprised.
Okay, so I was going to ask you that. I didn't want to jump ahead too much, but like, you know, you're taking, you know, concert photography again. And, you know, when you look at your photos from back then and now, you know, how is it coming in now with 40 years experience? Are you doing anything different? Are you, you know, or, I mean, it seems like you were pretty good back then. I mean, what's different?
Back then you had manual focus and you were shooting 6 rolls of film and hoping you got 10 good shots or 3 good shots, because a lot of them were blurry. And now the camera technology is so good that you can set stuff on, you know, certain settings and work a lot faster, and your hit rate's going to be much higher. So I think one of Brooke Smith's comments on the Alison Braun show had to do with how hard it was to shoot back then and all the things you had to know that you don't have to know anymore. So, you know, digital photography is great. You know, I obviously have digital equipment now, but when you shot film, there was, you know, not a lot of people knew how to shoot film, especially not at night. So
you had to put it wasn't like nowadays where you go and it's like, honestly, being in a band, tell you, I know people being in a band, and this has happened a couple times when we're playing, and you have somebody that's like standing right in front of you, blocking everybody, just going like, yo, get the fuck off the stage. I don't give a fuck whatever you're shooting. I don't give a fuck if it's on Instagram. I don't give a fuck. What's more important to me in this moment are the people in the crowd that can enjoy the show. Not you taking 350 fucking photographs and not even thinking one iota about composing the shot. Not one iota.
Doesn't cost the same. And back then, film, as you know, film cost a fortune. And paper, like 100 sheets of Oriental No. 3 paper, which I used to use for my prints, was like $50, and $50 was like $400 to me at the time.
Wow.
When you're making like $4 babysitting. So, I mean, it was an expensive pursuit. So, and now it's more the gear and the post-production.
Right.
The post-production takes so long. It's just a different craft.
I like that. Spray and pray.
Spray and pray. Absolutely. I almost just said that.
I've never heard that. That's funny. Thanks, Francis.
Oh, I have.
I like that.
Spray and pray. It's like, but just being a front person in a band and playing shows, it's like some people are just damn rude. They just think that like they're very, very important, with their camera to get up there and just go, and it's like, yo, come on.
Well, I don't mind as long as a lot of time I'm like 5'1", so sometimes when I finally get like a good spot where I can see and it's kind of like up front and like on the side, and then a photographer steps in front of me and then just stays there.
When I shot at No Values this last year, and there was a photographer there named Becky. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she was quite petite, and she had a little, one of those little things you can carry that kind of put you up about a foot. She had brought one with her, and I was like, that's not. Yeah. I'm almost 5'9". I'm about 5'8.5", so I'm quite tall. But I still thought it was a pretty good idea.
Yeah. So
I like to.
I want to bring one of those. I've seen those. I've seen photographers with those little step stools. I'm like,
you could bring one just to watch concerts. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Ray Hogan. I was wondering why Ray Hogan just super chatted me $1.99, which I absolutely appreciate. Ray, listen, if enough ants get on an elephant in the jungle, it takes it down. So I appreciate it. And if you do a super chat, it certainly entitles you to ask a question. And Ray's question is: any show where you thought you had nothing and wound up with gold?
Oh, so many shows. Yeah, I'd have to think about that. But as I've gone back through things, and I'm like, oh my God, I thought I had nothing from this show, but I had, 2 photos of Julie from Sin 34, or I had, this whole role, like the Misfits, when I shot them, I thought I had nothing. I think I only popped off like 15 shots, and I'm like, it's just impossible to shoot here. I wasn't able to get on the stage, and then I had a couple shots that worked. So there's tons of shows. Not now. Now I know when I shoot stuff, I know exactly what I have. But back then you couldn't look at anything. You didn't have, digital technology or an LED on the back. So you just LED, LCD, I don't know, whatever it is on the back of the camera, you didn't have that. So you were guessing and hoping, So I walked away from many shows thinking I didn't have anything, and then I would have something that was really good.
This shot's amazing. I love the shadow.
I know the shadow makes it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be that interesting, but I do really like the shadow.
So. Where was this Misfit show?
That was at the Goleta Community Center. I mean, it's so funny in the punk world back in the early 80s, places would open and let punk bands play for a certain amount of time, and then they would kind of close, and so Goleta Community Center did shows for a while, and Ukrainian Culture Center did shows for a while, and clubs would pop up in the San Fernando Valley that didn't even have a name, and like Shattered Faith would play there, and then it would be gone the next week, and you have no idea where you took this photo because the club didn't exist long enough to have a name, or if it did have a name, it was only for one night.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were some cool shows at Goleta. I photographed the Exploited there as well. Yeah.
Good.
I think that's the only 2 times I went, Misfits and Exploited. Yeah.
Is it now? I'm sort of showing it's like a little taste of all the stuff. Are there like something like this? Are there a bunch more shots of the Misfits from this show?
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that I like maybe 2 of Glenn and just a couple from on stage. So it's not like I have a treasure trove of Misfits. Unfortunately, like I said, that was one where I was kind of disappointed, and I was having trouble for whatever reasons getting to them, or I don't know if it was around the speakers or kind of Allison seemed to be kind of on the back of the stage. She has that shot of Glenn turning around that you showed on
yeah, of course. Yeah,
I was not in the same position for sure.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know, half a roll of film, but I have some fun stuff of them at the at Vinyl Fetish when they did an in-store appearance and they did not wear shirts. So yeah, but those were shot on Epichrome, so they're color photocopies, but they still look pretty cool. So
are these photos and some of those photos heading to this this book project that you mentioned earlier?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
exciting.
I am excited. So I think it might come out in May or June. We're crunching on the timeline now.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that Brian Ray and also Art Aguilar, who does graphics with him, they're amazing artists. And, you know, Brian has such a great eye and so does Art. And I met them and just fell in love with them instantly. It was just hung out with them for a few hours and they were so excited about the work. Even though I met with them a year ago, we're in crunch time now. You know, they're busy and I'm busy. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing, you know, their vision for how to present the photography.
That's exciting.
Because my own vision is more boring and I'd rather see, you know, they're much more informed about this world than I am at this point. So,
well, you know, I can relate, you know, sometimes collaborating with people, you know, you relinquish a little bit of, you know, let go of the reins a little bit. You know, we've talked about, and I'm going to talk about it at the break, you know, the London 77 book is coming out.
Excited for that book.
Yeah. And you know, I got involved with Generation Records and their designer. And, you know, I thought it would be kind of cool to work with other people and see what their vision is and kind of think outside the box of the usual, you know, do everything yourself. There's no justice. It's just us. Which is kind of like the story of my life. But it's nice collaborating with people and bringing in outside ideas, you know, every now and then.
I mean, photography is a pretty solitary profession. You're just doing what you want or what the client wants most of the time. So collaborating doesn't always come up in my profession. So this is really fun for me. So yeah.
Sure. Hey, let me take a sponsor break. Boy, we've done an hour and a half already. How about that, huh? How about that, kids? That was, see?
So really
time flies.
Yeah.
Woo. Let me do sponsor break, and we'll come back and let's talk some more. And we still got a way to go. So I'll see you in a couple minutes, Dina.
Okay.
And Lori, I'll see you in a few. Okay.
Okay.
Well, there. Welcome. I mean, I hope you're enjoying the ride. This is the New York Hardcore. Hey, what's up, Frankie Too Far? What's up, Mike Blitz? That said, this is what we're gonna do. For those that are wondering, we're gonna do promo stuff. We're gonna talk about upcoming shows and a couple other things, and we're gonna bring our guests back and we're gonna talk more. We're gonna do more show and tell, and we're gonna do what we do here on the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Yo, what's happening? I'm out here at one of our all-ages Sunday matinees on the Bowery. I hope that you are enjoying today's show. I just want to let you know that the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live needs your support. Please step up. There is a Patreon page that has a lot of unique program. Shows are announced there first. Lots of good stuff. There's a PayPal address right there on the screen if you want to make a contribution. There's also a super chat function. You could do that, but the bottom line is this show exists because of your support. We're going to be doing it for a long, long time. Thank you for all your support through the years. Back to the show.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decipher fiction from the truth. Society's slow and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their phone.
And we're back. What's happening? Want to mention a couple of upcoming shows. There will not be a show. We've been banging them out lately. Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday. Banging them out. I haven't done 3 shows back to back to back like that in a couple years. There will not be a show this Sunday because we will be down at the Bowery Electric. We mentioned this. The opening, Hub City Stompers, Rebelmatic, Ancient Domains, DIY and Breed, Ill Raised, and DJ Sydney Half Rats. That's this Sunday down at Berlin. It is a free all-ages Sunday matinee. Come on down. Support the series. Don't be scared. 1 week from today, we will be back here with Kurt from DRI by popular demand. A couple days after that, Adam Blake from H2O will be on celebrating the 21st anniversary reissue of Faster Than the World. A lot of photographers coming on. Our old friend David Plastic will be on Sunday, March 30th. Sunday, April 6th, Warren Lee, Beto, and J-Way of Nailed to the Cross, formerly 25 to Life Drama. They'll be on the show Sunday, April 6th to talk about their new/old endeavor. Jay Blakesberg, celebrating the release of his book, Punk, will be on the show Wednesday, April 9th. This has not been announced yet. I'm telling you here for the first time. Greg Smith, our old friend, the book is on pre-sale now. The London 77, the Lost Archive book that I've been talking about on the show years and years and years in the making. It is at the printer now. The pre-sale is up at Cortex Records in Germany and Generation Records here in New York City. It's finally happening. It's all very exciting. We're going to talk a bit more about that. Chris Golis from Bulldoze is on Wednesday, April 23rd. And Chris Beatty, ex-Hatebreed, more drama, will be on May 18th. So that's what's happening. I know we mentioned it at the break. Please support the show. Your support is needed. There's a Patreon page. There's a PayPal address. Do a super chat function. Do what you got to do. Just support the show so we can keep at it. And I want to thank everybody that is supporting the show. You are enabling. You are an enabler. Don't be an enabler. In this case, it's okay to be an enabler. You're enabling the show to happen. So that said, there's also a super chat function. So you could be like Ray Hogan and super chat $1.99 and get to ask a question. That said, everything else okay. All right. Let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guests back on. Lori Dawn, what's up? Lori Dawn from Long Island coming. If you want to listen, if you want to hang out with Lori Dawn, come on down to Berlin this Sunday. Don't listen, me, I'm just a sidebar to all this. And Larry Kelly, Lori Dawn will be hanging out. Is Elise coming?
Oh, yeah.
Yo, let me tell you something. There's a big party going on this Sunday. Elise is going to be there. Bottoms up. Come on down. Yo, get prepared to get drunk under the table. Anyway, we love Elise. I always love when Elise comes to the show because I don't have to hear about the club bitching about how shitty the bar did. You know, it's like, I don't know. Hey, how the show? You know, Drew, the show. Hey, Jesse, how'd the show do? Not too good.
Right.
You know, nobody's drinking. So, wow, you're telling me Elise is coming? I'm stoked. All right.
Well, Cindy will be there too.
Right.
We got
All
Mimi.
right.
We got Mimi from Fug It coming out. So
All right.
the girls are in the house.
Come on down. Come on down. Get hammered. Don't get too hammered because it's a fine line between coming and supporting the show and getting hammered and getting too hammered and being a nuisance and being a pain in my ass. So you have to, it's a fine line, you know?
Right. And you have to admit they're all happy drunks. Happy. Yes.
Make sure you get my wife drunk too while you're at it. That always bodes well for me.
Thank you for happy.
There you go. That said, let's bring our guest today, Dina Douglas, back on.
So, yeah.
All right. Where were we?
Well, it's been incredible so far. I'm like, the question on my mind was why and when? Why did you step away from punk photography?
You know, as others have said, in 1984, the scene just kind of died. And I just, went to 4-year college after going to starting in junior college. And then I got in my own bands. I was fronting bands. I fronted a band in college and I fronted a band in LA. And, I was working and corporate life and, just working.
Yeah.
No one cared about my photos at the time. No one really cared.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that too. You were in a band called Too Many Joes.
I was in a band called Too Many Joes, yeah. So, and before that, I was in a band called Walkabout. Cindy Wathen, who had commented, she was in that band. So, yeah, this was our band, and we had a good time. Yeah.
Well, you have a beautiful voice. I gave it a listen. I really loved it.
Oh my God, you did?
Oh yeah.
I did also.
I gave it a listen, because, like homework for the show. And then I found myself kind of like, this is cool. I'm going to put this on my list,
It was swirly girly 90s folk pop.
Oh, but I loved it. I mean, listen, I'm like a huge Natalie Merchant fan, So, I felt like it had kind of that vibe, I think also there was one song in there. I think it was Another Dollar, Another Day. That had a little punk vibe to it.
Did just real quick encapsulate like Too Many Joes? You guys kind of almost had a moment there, right? Like, tell us about it.
We almost had a moment. We played constantly. We did label showcases. Labels like Geffen and Atlantic would come to our practices and come to shows and call constantly going, has anyone made you an offer? And we got a publishing deal with Warner Chappell, and it just never really happened for us, but we had a good time while we were playing. So we got played on K-Rock like twice. So that was about it.
Well, I recommend it out there.
Oh,
I recommend it.
Find it. It's actually on my website. I put the whole album online.
I think it's on SoundCloud too, right?
Sorry? Yeah.
SoundCloud, yeah.
So how did it go from sort of like, you seem really introverted, young photographer, teenager, to I'm in a band? Like how did that work?
I've always had a big personality. I think I was just intimidated by people like Jack from TSOL and stuff like that. And when I was 16, I had more of a personality. When I was 18 or 19, I was more, maybe a little more confident. I think there's a big difference between 16 and 19 or 17 and 20.
Sure.
You know, you really just, you're looking around going, everybody hates me. And then you're like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's basically as simple as that. You're just getting older and, you know, just trying new types of creativity and stuff. So, yeah, but I played in band in college and I had stage fright. But yeah, the band in LA ended up doing pretty well and yeah, we had a good time.
Is that your dog, Lori?
That is my sister's dog. It is one of those giant Bernese mountain dogs.
It sounds like it.
Yeah, he's very large.
What's he angry about?
I think it's dinner time.
Right. You know,
Sorry.
Dina, was speaking of Jack, and was that you I spied in the movie Suburbia?
That is me in Suburbia. I was a paid extra. I think Penelope or her team, Penelope Spheris, the director, and or her team put out flyers at shows looking for punks to come be paid extras. I think they had already secured the bands, TSOL and the Vandals and DI, all played in that movie, and they had already done some casting in and amongst the punk community. And then they just kind of had an open call for punk extras, and we either got paid with like a steak dinner or we got paid $20 for a day's work. I really don't remember because I was so young. But at some point I was asked to go stand on the stage when TSOL was playing alongside two other girls. And I think it's because we had lighter hair, even though my hair was, you know, more in the middle at the time. Yep, there I am. So yeah, we were asked to get up on the stage, which was quite an honor for me at the time. And I mostly was just watching the keyboardist and standing around. And so, yeah. And then I just found myself in a crowd shot as well. So it's a nice piece of history to be a part of. Yeah.
And that film, that performance of TSOL, I don't want to say it put him on the map, but that's kind of a great moment for TSOL in that film, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I've talked to Jackie about it. And here's another shot. This is from the film, right? There you are in the background.
Yep, there I am in the background with my big attempt at Susie and the Banshees hair. And
right.
I would, you know, back comb it with Aquanet and all this stuff. And my parents would not let me dye my hair. I was forbidden. I was not allowed to pierce my ears. I was not allowed to dye my hair. My mom said, you kept trying to dye your hair black and we were screaming at you, and they didn't let me lighten it. They didn't let me darken it. I wasn't allowed. And I still don't have pierced ears to this day. I'm the only one you know.
Oh, wow.
My dad said he wouldn't pay for college if I ever pierced my ears. So the one trade-off is I did start my life after college without college debt. So yeah, but I don't have pierced ears. Yeah.
It was worth it not having the earrings. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's funny to see myself in the back of that crowd shot with the guys coming in, you know, before they had a fight.
So let's talk about the timeline a little bit, even though there's many pictures left. But so 84, the first wave of American hardcore wanes. It comes to an end. I think it's safe to say. I think we can all agree on that. You know, by 1984, the first wave of American hardcore comes to an end, and many people, sort of like myself and like yourself, we sort of feel like we went around the merry-go-round and college time and doing other things time. The photos, the negatives, they go into a draw, a store. What's the fate of the negatives?
The negatives that are all sleeved, thankfully, and you know, they went into a box that sat in my closet, and that's where they stayed. So, yeah.
Did you see them from time to time and be like, was there any ever thought, or what was the impetus to sort of dig them out?
Oh, to dig them out? Well, I got them scanned in 2014, and my mom was so excited because my mom has always been a fan of that photography. But I'm just very busy. You know? Yeah. I was very busy shooting and with client deadlines and stuff. And every time the LA Times would run an article or a book review or an exhibit review about punk, or punk photography, my mom would send me this angry letter, like going, how can you not be sharing your photos with the world? They're so good. And she would just be sending me these just long emails. And one night she sent me another one of those emails, and I just reached out to the LA Times writer, which is Jim Ruland, who wrote the, My Damage, the Circle Jerks book about Keith Morris, and also wrote the Bad Religion book with the band. I sent him a note and I said, my mom has been bugging me for years, and I thought I'd just reach out, and I believe I have a really great unpublished collection. And he was like, holy shit. So he's been very encouraging and kind, and he was the first person I actually reached out to. And then someone suggested a publisher, I think his name is Dario, I'm going to forget his last name. He's in Germany. And he remembered my photos, and he said, you really need to start an Instagram account. And so I did. And I was, I've been blown away by how supportive and excited people have been, because a few people knew I had these photos, but most people just did not. So it's really kind of like, where did these photos come from? Which has been really lovely. I feel like everybody else has already published, but like you said, there's someone in New York that hasn't. So
yeah.
And
this is
collection. So it's hard. It's a lot of work.
This stuff is the real joy to me as a music and historian a bit, is when stuff turns up that is just hasn't been seen and hasn't been scanned and stuff like that. So when you dug them out, you sent them in, and they just got scanned, and then you had the files, and then must have been really incredible to sort of relive the stuff again,
Yeah, it was, but I was just, again, I got really busy. I kind of went back through and I went, these are cool. And then I just didn't do anything about it. And I didn't realize there was all this interest in that time that, it seems like such a great time to bring these photos out, but there was no waiting or science behind it or even thought behind it. I had no idea. So I was just been kind of busy, head down with work, and running my own business. And so I just floored that punk is so huge right now, and people are so excited about the photos. And, there's so many brilliant people that were into punk at the time, really, really smart, brilliant people that just didn't fit in, and reconnecting with some of them now and seeing where they are in their lives. And some have passed on, but others are still around. And it's been so, it means the world to me, really. It's been great.
Yeah. It means the world
I didn't know before. I've just been so supportive, such nice people.
It means the world to us too. I mean, that to see this part of history, you think in a lot of ways, I guess I'll keep it in the eye, is it like, I think in a lot of ways that history's finite, right? Like, I've seen everything there is to see, it's been written already. And then yet things like these archives, like your archive or Greg Smith's archive, come to the surface, and it's just like, wow, incredible. This is just really great.
I think something too is that, like, Gen X is like very, very nostalgic, and a lot of us are still going to shows. A lot of us are still into the things that we were into as kids. Mm-hmm. So, seeing photos like this and, photo books, we will buy them. We will buy, everyone that's put out, we want that nostalgia. And, this is real interesting to us. This is a great shot. I didn't want it to slip by. This is a really incredible shot. Could you give us some perspective on this?
I can. This is Monkey from the Addicts and Mel, who I believe was the bass player, and they were just backstage, and it was just one of those perfect moments that I was lucky enough to capture. And this is, I was able to shoot the Addicts, I think, at 6 shows and a videotaping when they were in town. He was so theatrical, and the whole Clockwork Orange thing and the performance, and I was like, I have to drive everywhere that they're going to be. And Monkey's been kind enough to kind of keep in touch with me every so often over the years. And he's a really nice guy. And I really love behind the scenes stuff. And I wish I had more confidence and knowledge at the time to have done more, BTS work, because I love it so much now. And I wish I had more photos of these guys like hanging out backstage and those quiet moments, because those are some of my favorite things.
Well, that's the thing that I find is, like I said, a lot of people shot a lot of bands, but not a lot of people shot the community and the culture. Sort of turn the camera away from the, what was happening on stage to shoot what was happening elsewhere. And you have a lot of that. Now, I want to kind of Heather asks, Dina, your work is amazing. Are you still shooting bands? And to go with that addict picture, I want to put this addict picture. So please answer this however you feel appropriate.
I am still shooting bands. It's not my profession, because I do support myself fully with photography and have for 22 years. So I shoot a lot of corporate work. I've shot, bar mitzvahs, I've shot weddings, in a lot of different countries. But when I get the chance, I do love to shoot live bands. I shot this at No Values, which is the big punk festival they did here in Southern California that Golden Voice put together last year. And I really love shooting live bands, but I can only do it when I have time. So, and if someone gives me access, because you can't always get a camera in. So,
here's a couple others that you have recently shot. Was it? Tell us what it was like sort of being. I don't know if it's fair to say out of the mix, but to sort of many years later to kind of be shooting a guy like this, and was it sort of like deja vu all over again?
It's such a good question, because I was kind of out of the mix for a very, very long time, and reconnecting with these songs that meant so much to me when I was 17 or 18. It's amazing. I can't even describe the feeling. Some people have kind of never left the scene and kind of stayed in it, and I really didn't. I was doing my own band thing, and it was more swirly girly than hardcore. But I don't know if I'm answering this question in the best way, but yeah, I loved being able to shoot. I mean, he's such a great performer, just everybody. And I think these guys are having the time of their lives. They were playing little shows at the time, and now they're playing to these massive crowds. So it's really fun to see that they're still out there 40 years later, And
even this is a recent one, right? This is this is Dave Vanian from The Damned, right?
Yep. And when he came out, it was like blazing sun. But for this photo, it just worked. And I just cropped it in because that mic was incredible.
Wow.
And that with his profile, I just thought was really beautiful. Alison Braun gave that a chef's kiss on my Instagram.
Yeah, it is beautiful. Because
you
you take a lot of portrait and wedding and events photography now, and you do a lot with light and light painting as well.
Well, light painting. Sorry. Go ahead. Finish your question.
I was just reading about portraits and getting that Rembrandt triangle on the face and things like that. Is that something that is possible to take into concert photography as well, or is it just completely different when you're,
It's interesting you showed the Dave Vanian shot, because he only looked good from one side, and it wasn't because of his face, it was because of where the sun is. And so I'm going to instantly assess where the light is. That was a daytime show. So that's why the light looks so specific and specular on his face. I have to assess those things extremely quickly, and I have no time when I'm shooting. So looking for Rembrandt light, I mean, it just, kind of, but if someone's performing live, if you're doing a portrait of a musician, yes, I can set up continuous lights, or I can do, beauty dishes or multiple soft boxes and create, kind of control the light. But a concert's like an uncontrolled situation, and you just kind of have to shoot what's there, and if you're in a small club, the lighting guy might just put on dark red, and he thinks that's the best thing ever when you're looking for clean white light.
Yes.
And it's dark red, and you can't really do much with it except make it black and white and kind of salvage the photo.
Yeah.
So Yeah. I know how to kind of work around a lot of different situations because I have shot events professionally for so many years.
So you're bringing some of that expertise in, but
I would say, yeah.
Yes.
Did you, I mean, being recognized as one of the premier wedding photographers in the world,
one of the top 10.
One of the top 10. It's incredible. Did you bring any of sort of like your punk rock sensibilities into your career as a wedding photographer? Did any of that carry it over, or was it just all new terrain?
Maybe in terms of more creative ideas, like laying people on the floor, or laying them in flowers, or, you know, being excited about goats coming down the road and throwing your couple in the middle of like a goat storm in India. Those things might not have occurred to me if I hadn't kind of had some creative thinking around punk imagery, and you know, more interesting things are much more interesting to me than, you know. Yeah, there's a photo I shot in India of a couple. They actually live on the East Coast, you know, here in the United States, but they flew me over to this place called Samod Palace that was outside of Jaipur. And we did a day after session, which is where they dress up again and we go out and do photos kind of in the city and around, you know, using stuff that's not wedding related. And this giant flood of goats just started coming down this road. And I'm like, run outside, run into the goats. So yeah, and then those little kids, and I love the photo because it's great. You can't plan for this, and you can't, but you can create around it when it kind of happens, rather than go, oh, there's goats, I think I'll stand on the side of the road. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get in the middle of the goats. So maybe my experience kind of made me want to get into the middle of the goats.
I like this one a lot as well. It's a beautiful shot. How did this come together?
Oh, that is in Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico. And that was after their reception. And I asked if they'd get in the pool, and they said, sure. And so they got in the pool, and I'm pretty sure I used a couple of flashes, like off-camera light on this, because it was dark. And this pool was actually in the hotel they were staying in. It was kind of in a small hotel. So I really love clients that are kind of ready to mess up their clothing. You know, a lot of people want to preserve their stuff, but I'm like, no, jump in water. Let's mess it up. Let's do something fun with it. So yeah. This is a staggeringly beautiful shot, and so happy for the bride and groom. This is a great. Yeah, this is a really, you know, people take wedding shots, but this is next level. You know, this is really, really. I don't even think that's on my website. You just asked me to send you a few, and it popped up, and I'm like, oh, I'll send this over. So thank you. Yeah. I like having ideas like that with clients that are willing to do something creative, but it often means getting messy. And, you know, some weddings end at 2 a.m, and so they really can't. Right. Or you have to do it another day, and they don't want to do it, you know.
Now you've shot weddings all over the place: Turkey, Morocco, Bali. Are there any destinations that you prefer? Are there any that, you know, created any particular challenges?
They're all challenging in different ways. Cartagena is a fun place to shoot, like inside the walled city. I've had the privilege of going down there and shooting in some of their big old stone churches a few times. And then, you know, whenever I travel, I always say, let's do a day after session where you dress back up and we can go out and kind of capture the beauty of the surroundings. Because often you're in a hotel or it's a church, and a lot of guests and family are kind of pulling on the couple. So it's not even worth it to me to fly somewhere unless I can get that time to create, you know, some really beautiful portraiture. Like this one you're showing right now is in Istanbul. Wow. And we did 2 day after sessions, because there were so many, they were game. We did a lovely wedding, but there was no time for any of this. And there were so many locations in Istanbul that they wanted to shoot at, but there's no way you could get to them with traffic. And I said, if you'll dress up again, I'll shoot again. And they were thrilled. So we actually did 2 day after portrait sessions. And this was outside some palace. And I think she was Miss San Juan. And then her husband was of Turkish ancestry, the guy she married. And they were so sweet. Wow. So yeah, it's really great to be in these old cities and get to create, you know, in unique environments rather than just a beige hotel in Southern California, though. You know, many of them are very nice, but after a while you're like, this is very beige, and then there's a plant. So I'm always looking for something different if I can, you know, it keeps you interested and happy. And you know.
Wow.
Last wedding related related shot. This is a really nice shot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Let me take a quick sponsor break, and this will be a very quick one.
You have very cool sponsors, by the way.
Thank God. I'm a very lucky, fortunate, and grateful person that I have such great sponsors, great guests, and people around the world that love the show. So, you know, that I could do from the privacy of my studio apartment in lovely New York City.
Yeah, but you put in a lot of work.
Oh yeah,
you put in a lot of work.
I do.
On every show. I can't believe it. Yeah.
I make light of it, but I do. And but you know, I think it's human nature. You know, you become acclimated to anything, any horror or joy. You know, I have a routine now that I've fine-tuned over the years, and it's very regimented but it works. You know, I have it in the beginning. It was hard to sort of figure out what's what and how to do it, but through trial and error, just I'm sure like what you as you know in your photography, you figure out what works and you drill that, and so yeah. That said, let me take a quick break, and we'll be back, and we'll take some questions from around the world, and we'll take a look at some more photographs. Are you do you have a hard out? Do you got to go anywhere?
No.
All right, we're good. All right, and Lori, I know you're not going anywhere, or you don't.
I can sit here all night.
I know you don't think you're going anywhere. And you know what? You know, when we take this break, you know, I'm not going to say anything bad about the dog. All right, I'll see you in a minute. There she is. Hey. Whoa. Listen, we'll deal with you in a second, Elisa. Welcome back. This is the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated New York Hardcore Chronicles live. And we are sponsored by blah, 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 and 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated on a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them and ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. Come on now, Mad Vintage buys, sells, and collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who just loves collecting and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band shirts. They are always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade. New shirts added daily at www.madvintage.com and posted on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crapola and reach out to them. Help me help you, Mad Vintage. Last but not least, come on now, Joe Romini, the Texas Silver Rush is a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock Roll Hall of Famers Gregory Ringo Starr, and of course, my friends and yours, Agnostic Front. Information on online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram page, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. That said, question time. Post your questions for our guest. Go deep, get weird. Ask whatever you want. I want to mention a couple other things, specifically upcoming events. We talked about this Sunday down at Berlin. It's free. Yo, ID's playing with Sworn Enemy, Silence Equals Death, Robots and Monsters, and Redwoods at the American Legion Post 434 in lovely Englishtown, New Jersey on Saturday, March 29th. Yo, we're bringing it to Staten Island as well. Friday, April 11th is part of the New York Hardcore Chronicles Back to the Roots music series. Free show, 21 and plus, at Mother Pugs, Enrage, Cropsy, Incendiary Device, and tear gas. 2 days later, free at the Bowery Electric. We are back at the Bowery Electric. This is a banger. Conservative military image, ID, American Eagle, Murderers Row, and Faded Line with DJ Sid the Kid. Lace them up. We will see you there. Hey, this isn't announced yet, but you're hearing it here first. At Generation Records on Saturday, May 3rd, from 5 to 7, it is the Rebel-matic Black Hole Eats Tornado record signing and performance. Come on down, Generation Records. Come on. You heard? Rampage Fest 7, brought to you by Hegs. Sunday, May 4th, Sworn Enemy Silence Equals Death, Brass Knuckle Brigade featuring former members of Billy Club Sandwich, Redwoods featuring Colt Schuler, Danny Schuler from Biohazard Son, Life of Deceit, formerly Gunk, and No Comply. That's Sunday, May 4th. Hey, while we're on a roll, all you patrons out there, it's free. Come on out. I'm doing the cinematic and music walking tour Saturday, May 10th. Buy the ticket, take the ride. If you are a patron, it's free. Bring anybody you want. If anybody else is out there wants to come along, just reach out to me. Saturday, May 24th in our beloved Tompkins Square Park. Of course, it's a free show with non-residents, Butterbrain, Fire is Murder, End of Hope, and Sonic Bomb. But I will not be there because I will be at Punk Rock Bowling. We are playing with 7 Seconds, Negative Approach, Effigies, and Stalag 13. We are kicking off the festivities. It is sold out. You snooze, you lose. But if you're out there, whether you're getting in or not, a couple days later, what is that? I am hosting a tour at the Punk Rock Museum. So come on out, take a walk with me, and check out some of the Punk Rock Museum. I'll be doing a tour on the 25th. Tickets to all this is on sale now. And Sunday, June 1st at the Bowery Electric is my wedding bash, decorated by Lori Dawn. So, and Elisa will be there as well. The whole gang getting married. Scott Helland is playing. We're doing the My War thing. Y'all are welcome to my wedding bash. Right, Lori?
Yes, everyone's welcome.
Everyone is welcome to my wedding bash. I'm taking a big chance doing this publicly,
Yes, there will be lots of bubbles.
There will be lots of bubbles. Absolutely.
As you all know.
Yeah. Let's bring
hey, Mimi.
What's that?
I see Mimi in the...
Oh, I didn't even look. Oh, yeah. Mimi will be there. Elisa will be there.
I got a chance this weekend to see Mimi in the studio.
She got some pipes that brought, huh?
Oh, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, she's great. She's
amazing.
Great. Yep. Oh, did I mention they are playing? Which show are they on? They are on. Oh, boom.
Yes.
Back to the New York Hardcore Roots Series, Sunday, July 13th at the Bowery Electric. Fury of 5. It is Scott Dotina's birthday bash. Shoot the 5. The Long Wait, featuring ex-members of SSD Control and Slapshot, Jerry Body, and Fug It.
Fug It.
Get there early. See Fug It.
See Mimi scream her face off.
See Mimi get down.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's going to be great. I hope to see a lot of you out in the park, too. We're going to be there at that park show May 24th.
Yeah.
Women of the Pit are going to be there with Punk Rock Saves Lives. We're going to be signing people up for the bone marrow registry, handing out free Narcan and condoms. So come on out.
I'm trying to find something really... Narcan condoms.
Narcan condoms, fentanyl test strips.
Hey, listen, when we knock you out of that overdose, you're going to want to get laid. Do it safely. Take a condom. If you're going to do some... listen, I know when I come out...
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not...
Get up and get down. That's what Peg says.
Is that a new name for a band? We are Narcon and Condoms.
Narcan and condoms. Come on out.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's all about safety. It's all about... Hey. Listen, I'm glad we brought you back to this wretched world. Here's a condom.
Here's
Go
a condom.
out and go out and get busy.
Go forth and multiply. Well, don't
Yeah.
multiply.
Dangerous water there, Drew. I know, right? I pulled myself back. Yeah, that's right. Don't OD and don't get an STD.
Yeah.
Hardcore saves lives. Good one. Hardcore. Hey, we're here.
Hey, it's Punk Rock Saves Lives. They're great.
Yep.
So all kinds of health and mental health resources. So, yeah.
All right. Questions for our guests. Let's bring Dina back on. Hi.
Hi. You came up with something pretty good after the Narcan and condoms. You're like, I got to come up with something. You're like, yeah, after you almost overdose, you're going to want to have sex. I think that was pretty good. That was pretty witty.
Hey, yeah, I almost went as far. Yeah, I almost went even farther than that, but I pulled back from the abyss. You know, I didn't want to start getting into my own personal experience in these matters. You know, that said. Questions for our guests, please post. Oh, has Dina seen her trading card?
Oh,
I do have that. Where is that?
This is exciting.
Yeah.
I have a trading card?
Yes.
Yeah, you do. And it's a pretty great shot with you. And you have to tell us what's going on.
I have no idea what's happening right now.
There you go. How's that?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That is I had a soft tissue crush injury that I got.
What?
I got at a Ritz-Carlton when the wind outside created almost a vacuum, and there was like an overlap of a metal door where it didn't go like this; it overlapped, and my hand got caught in it, and I ran screaming out of the room. And I thought I had shattered the bones in my hand.
Whoa. And
luckily, it was only a 35-person wedding, and it was a reception. There was only an hour left, but I had to go to the hospital. So that's a photo I took of myself.
Wow. And was it
in the hospital?
Was it a true crush injury? Did you?
It was a soft tissue crush.
Okay.
Injury. Yeah. So it was, it wasn't my bone. I've broken a ton of bones. Like I've broken my arms multiple times when I was younger, but yeah, this one, nothing was broken, but.
Yeah,
that's very funny. I don't even know where that photo came from, but thank you for the trading card.
Well, there's the back of it. Wait, you got to see the back. The back seems very informative. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is amazing. I have to take a photo of it.
No, he'll reach out. He'll send it to you. Dina worked in a corporate job in Silicon Valley until 2001. After losing the job, decided to go back to her first love, photography. She worked in 2 different studios and then started her own business in 2003.
That's awesome. I love it. I had no idea. That's amazing.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, reach out to Dina, will you? Send her cards.
Yes, Josh. Thank you.
Yeah, great job, Josh.
Well done, Josh. Well done. Elise knows about hand.
Hand injuries.
Yeah.
Yep. Question from GXS. Have you broken cameras? Let me rephrase this. Any equipment damage that shows?
Yes, as evidenced by the flash that we showed earlier in the show with the Germs logo kind of hinge on it. I'm pretty sure that someone just jumped over me and broke it with their foot. So I've had a lot of gear damaged, and I've dropped gear, despite best intentions, lenses fall and So yes, it's a very expensive business to be in if you do it professionally. You're constantly having to buy stuff, repair stuff. Back in the punk days, I only had 1 camera, 1 lens, and 1 flash. And so the cameras, kept on ticking, but I definitely had some flash issues. The flash was the most delicate part. And so if a boot went into it, that was kind of it.
You know what's another thing that I've mentioned before? Let me grab one of your older shots that we haven't seen yet. Oh God, this is a great one. Well, this one, I'm assuming this is a flash shot, but there weren't many photographers, but there were even less photographers who actually shot with a flash. there were less photographers like Phil and Flash in Boston, and shooting with a flash. I mean, there was a bunch of people that had shots or little cameras that did that, but shooting with a flash was really next level at this time.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how we could have done anything without it, because the camera, the film just didn't have the latitude, and the cameras didn't have the latitude at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, this photo was outside the Olympic Auditorium, and the marquee is just hysterical to me. I loved seeing this, and back when I was a teenager, I don't think I cared about this shot, and then going back and finding this and going, La Voz del Pueblo and Gonzalez versus Montoya, concert exploited DOA. It's just the most interesting marquee of all time, with these sporting events at the Olympic, and then like these punk bands kind of in there too. And you also got Mr. Bon Jovi here over on the right hand side next to some punk kid that's looking at me. I don't know. I love this shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. That's a great one.
Yeah, the Olympic has an amazing show.
Question from Wayne Spike Large. Dina, will your new book be available worldwide, specifically UK?
Yes, it will. And if not, I'm sending you one, so you have not to worry. But of course it will. Yeah, Kill Your Idols with Brian Raytercote and Art Aguilar. They do a great job, and they get their stuff everywhere. They're the guys that did Fucked Up and Photocopied.
Right.
So yeah,
Sure.
I'm sure it will be.
Is that right? The Olympic is a Korean church now? Okay.
Is it?
Apparently.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Korean churches tend to take over. I think Revolution on Long Island here is a Korean church now.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Olympic very much still posts historical photos and, all sorts of stuff. So they're very active on Instagram. I guess I thought they were still around. So
this is a good question from Sable 30. Dina, did you have a car? How did you get to the venues? I was at the mercy of friends with cars or vans. Like, as a young person, a teenager, how did you get around to this stuff?
She is the most supportive person. She's an amazing person. She follows my Instagram. I did have a car when I turned 16, but prior to that, I didn't. So U2 played at the Country Club, which was a place that Motorhead played, but like the Adolescents played and X played, and it was a small venue, and no one would drive me. And I was 15 and I wanted to go see U2, and no one would take me. So once I got a car, I was just gone all the time. But I grew up in a rural area that was very far north of where a lot of these shows were happening. So I'm really grateful to my parents for letting me out of the house. My mom, I said, "Why did you let me out of the house?" I had no cell phone. Technology didn't even exist. And I was 16, 17, 18 years old. She goes, "Because you brought home all these photos and I knew exactly what you were doing." So that was kind of nice. So, but yeah, once I got a car, that's how I got. Yeah.
Our good friend and supporter says, Dina, just want to say your work is epic and holds ground to this day. So thank you for documenting a historic time in our scene.
Aww.
Respect.
Yeah.
Rich, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sent me a note earlier, and I'm like, I'm in a towel. Thank you. I'll see you later. I'm in a towel. So yeah.
And Rich is an amazing photographer in his own right. So
oh yeah, he is.
Yeah. He's incredible.
Absolutely.
And this is the Black Flag.
They're so supportive of one another. It's just amazing. Yeah.
Rich, we've got Stephen Messina, Michelle Monona.
Yep. Tim Daly.
Tim Daly.
I like this Black Flag show. This was the show where the only prerequisite for coming into the show was you had to be a male in mating season between the ages of age 15 and 18. That was all other females of the species were not allowed into the show, it seems.
One of the parts about this photo that I really love is not only that kid looks happy, but the guy right behind Henry's butt that's got his hands
over his ears. Yeah.
That kid is amazing. He's like, but that one guy's expression is very contrary to most of the expressions you see in kind of, the mosh pit, so he looks so happy.
Is that Christopher Valdez says Alison Braun said she had trouble shooting Black Flag because of Henry and Mugger.
Yeah, I saw that on your show, and I don't know who Mugger is, and I never encountered him, but I don't know that I shot Black Flag as much as she did. I might have shot them once or twice. I shot the Circle Jerks quite a bit more. I don't even know why. I went wherever I could and whenever I could get out of the house, but I don't think I saw as many Black Flag shows as some other people might have, you know.
Sure. Yeah, Mugger was one of Black Flag's guys, like one of their roadies.
Yeah.
You know, one of their guys. Here's another one that is a little different. Looks to me like what's going on?
Yeah.
New York.
It's not me this time.
Tell you, man.
In Los Angeles, and it sounded like that all day, every day. So
all day, every day outside my window. I'm like right. Yeah. How about this one? This is a cool one.
Thank you. I love this shot. This was actually Billy Idol, right kind of in between Generation X and when he was coming out with his solo stuff. It might have been right when the Gen X album came out, which is, I think, when Steve Stevens started playing with him. But this was actually a shot I took at an in-store at a Music Plus that was somewhere in Hollywood. And it's been incredibly hard. I was trying to find other photos from this in-store, and I haven't really been able to. I found them from a different one, and I found them from a Vinyl Fetish in-store, but not this one. And I have photos of him signing legs and signing girls' chests. And, you know, he seemed kind of overwhelmed. I think he might have been 27 at the time. Wow. And he was just making that transition from Generation X into he kind of went straight into superstardom, you know, where it's just Billy Idol and not being as part of a band.
Yeah.
So I just went, and no one told me to leave, and I just took photos for like an hour and a half. So I have some great stuff from this, but I really like these expressions.
What year do you think this is?
I don't know. I'd have to look up when the Gen X album came out.
Yeah.
And it would probably be around that time. Not the first two Generation X albums, but the Burgundy one that came out. And
so
the Moni single came out, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna two things about this. I want to point out. One is Steve Stevens, who I've been reaching out to about getting on the show, and
he's never seen this photo, by the way.
Yeah. Or when I get him on, we're gonna show him.
Oh, please do.
And I just want to show a photo or two of Generation X, because the London 77 book that this is let me find a great shot. And these of the first off, let me put this up. The London 77 book that we've been talking about on the show. This is literally these are negatives that were in the drawer for 40 years. These are a couple pictures of the pages of the book. They sent them to me unbound. So these are a couple pages that I put together. But I want to show everybody a couple Generation X photos from that. And these, when I saw these negatives, these were some of the photos when I saw. Okay, here we go. These are the photos that I saw that blew my mind, and were some of the photos that I never forgot about. These photos that Greg Smith showed me in 1985, and it took me 40 years. He was going to throw these out. He was going to throw them out. And here's the quality of the photos that I saw. This kind of stuff.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Yeah. So, incredible stuff.
On behalf of the world, thank you for rescuing those negatives, but also investing the time into putting together the book and getting it out, because these need to be seen. And I'm right when I get off this interview, I'm going to pre-order that book.
Yeah, I gotta get it out there a little bit, and I don't want to go on, too much about this, but we are kind of announcing it today. But these are some of the pages they sent me. But the book is incredible. The photos are absolutely staggeringly incredible. I saved them from the dumpster, literally. These never before seen photos, the slits and generation, just on and on and on and on and on. What photo is John used? John. Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. It's because I talk about it in the book. He is holding. Let me get that again, just real quick before we move on. It's not John Hughes. That's John Waters, by the way. That's John Waters. And boy, John Waters made that dog wake up, huh? What John Waters is holding a promo card for his movie that was out at the time. I forgot what it's called. It's one of the like Crazy Divine movies or something. He's holding he was doing like some promo for it.
Was it Pink Flamingos?
No, it's not Pink Flamingos.
Oh.
It's, we got to get John Waters. We're going to get John Waters when we do a book thing. We're going to get him down to, because we're doing one in Baltimore. People are asking already about the where to order it, and let me just let everybody know real quick where they can buy it, if I can find it. Here we go. I'm sorry. So if you are in New York, if you are in America, please check out on the Generation Records has it for pre-sale. There's a pre-order now. It's a big coffee table book. Track it down at Generation Records. If you are in outside of America, Cortex has it in Berlin. They have the book as well, and you can pick it up from Cortex Records in Berlin. Here's the pre-order. Just track it down. I don't have the links to put you, to give you. But Cortex has it in Germany. Generation Records has it here. It's on 40 years in the making, much like Dina's book, which is
I know,
on
but
the
I'm
way.
excited for you, and I'm excited for Greg, the photographer. I think his name was Greg.
Greg Smith. Yep.
I'm excited for both of you. So I mean,
thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
And the story, the backstory of the photos is incredible. It's incredible, and his story and my story and how it came to be is incredible. I mean, Greg was a production assistant for my father's production company. My dad was a film director, and Greg was a lowly production assistant in 1984, I think. And he had this portfolio, and he showed me this portfolio, and I saw these pictures, what is it, 50 years ago, 40 years ago. And I never forgot the photos, and I hawked them for years. And he finally went into the storage room and said, the stuff was about to get thrown out. And he gave me 3,500 negatives, and I scanned them. So yeah, that's the story with that. Pretty incredible. So that said, questions for our guest, please. What else do we have?
I have a question.
Please. Please.
I ask all artists this: thoughts and concerns on AI?
No, not so much. I actually did a children's book using Midjourney more as a creative exercise when I had a little bit of spare time. Sell a few hundred copies and make $5, and that's fine. It wasn't a money-making thing. It was just kind of a little bedtime thing for kids. I don't think it's going to be putting, photographers out of business, because there's just too much happening in the world that needs to be documented for various reasons. So, I mean, I don't know what's coming down the pike. It changes every day. You know, my partner, he's a software developer, and every day we're watching stuff, and it's impossible to keep it straight on the nerd side. So yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah. I mean, my brother's involved with AI in the film business out in Hollywood, and he's showing me stuff, and it's like mind-boggling. I'm like,
yeah, there's some cool stuff that can be done, but you have to know how to work with it. And even for a software developer, if you get snippets of code back, you have to have some advanced expertise in that code to know when there's a mistake, or to know how to debug it, or where they've gone wrong. So
I mean, it's mind-blowing, but it's scary. A lot of it's scary too. It's sort of like, you know, waiting for Skynet to come online. You know, it's like it's a little
waiting
like
for Skynet and to become self-aware.
Yeah.
I think for right now there's like a there's kind of like an authenticity or like an emotional disconnect that you can kind of detect in it right now.
Yeah.
To tell whether it's, you know, but pretty soon, you know.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard to tell the difference.
A question from Soleil Sus. Dina, are you shooting film sometime? Do you shoot film at all anymore, or is that sort of is that from the past?
I do not shoot film anymore. A few photographers do for, you know, a particular style, but I do shoot pro digital cameras and have for a long time. I think I converted in maybe 2006 to the early digital stuff. So I've been through many generations. You know, you always have to buy the next generation of gear, you know, kind of every 2 years. And that's why it's very expensive to kind of keep up, because it's like that guy can't be ahead of you. You got to make sure you have that capability. So no film anymore. It wouldn't have the latitude to deal with what you have to deal with in events. It just wouldn't.
I like Heather's question. What does Dina's iTunes playlist look like?
Oh.
What are you listening to? And tell us the truth.
I will tell you the truth. I like London Grammar a lot, which is not punk rock at all, but I'm crazy for her voice. I like Swirly Girly. My boyfriend turned me on to the Tragically Hip because he's Canadian, and I hadn't heard of them really. I'd heard of them, but I'd never heard their music, and so I listened to them sometimes. If I go to the gym, then I listen to Husker Du and some Dead Mouse, and, you know, there might be an Echo and the Bunnymen song in there, or, you know, just anything that's keeping me jumpy, going forward. But yeah, sometimes I'll just, you know, XTC or something, but sometimes I'll just put on, you know, one Husker Du song, and I'll just keep playing it over and over and over. And I'm like, nope, nothing's as good. PJ Harvey.
Okay.
Big Exit is a great song for the gym.
Yeah, she's an incredible songwriter too.
That and don't want to know if you're lonely, like back to back, and then Dead Mouse. Yeah, it's kind of like that. But if I'm driving around, and I drive a lot back and forth from Palm Springs since we moved to work in LA, I listen, you know, London Grammar, like more swirly girly stuff, some punk.
What about you, Lori Dawn? What's on your what are you listening to?
What am I listening to? Well, let me tell you something. I am listening to.
You're so cute. I love you. Isn't she adorable?
That's why she's on the show. People ain't here to see me. You know.
She's so cute. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, you know, it depends. You know, when I'm in my car and I'm driving, and I need to kind of be like, you know, I listen to a lot of 70s rock.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I was a kid. I love the bass and stuff like that. So I listen to a lot of 70s. But, you know, I mean, I still listen to a lot of metal and hardcore music, you know, and like the shows that I go to is mostly, you know, metal and hardcore.
I did a hardcore show when I was in college, and I was a college DJ, and it was like a late night show. And for the last song, I always played Old Man by Neil Young. I played hardcore, and I played punk and stuff from England. And then I played every time I closed the show, because I figured no one was on. It was like 1 or 2 in the morning, and no one was listening anyway. So I just played Neil Young, Old Man.
Yeah. You know, it's just those songs that you just emotionally connect to, you know?
You know what I'm listening to?
What?
Whoever's next on the show.
Listen, I'm listening to a lot of like the new Rebelmatic is great.
Yeah.
And
Whoever's
whatever I'm going to go see next because I want to be able to sing.
Yep.
Yeah.
We talk about my routine, Dina, with the show. That's what I do. Whoever's next on the show is who I'm listening to leading up to that show. And then in between going and screaming my brains out in Incendiary Device and whatever else, it's like I just key into whatever's next on the show. This is a great question. And I think I have a visual for it. Now, before I ask it, let me set this up. Count Ralphus asks, did you have your camera handy when you were on the set of Suburbia?
I apparently did, but I only took a few photos because I was being a paid extra. But I do have a photo of Penelope Spheris, which they're showing right now. This is not retouched. You can kind of see how much emulsion is kind of missing, and I have to go in and fix this up. But I kind of loved finding this because, it was such the decline of Western civilization, and that soundtrack meant everything to me when that came out. I mean, I literally could not stop listening to that record. It just never left my turntable. I know every breath, every sound, every talking part. And the movie was just incredible. And so to have found this photo, which again, as a teenager, I didn't pay any attention to. I didn't remember that I had brought my camera or taken it out. I have a couple more like crowd shots and a shot of Jack from TSOL kind of walking away, and it's blurry, but it's really cool. I should send it to him. But I was happy to find this, and I took one of the cameramen, but that's about it. So I don't have any of the band. I have one of Steve-O on the stage. I have way better shots of Steve-O. I shot the Vandals a lot. And I do have one or two shots that I found of him on stage. But I wasn't shooting when I was on stage when TSOL was performing or when I was in the crowd.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get to document that in the behind the scenes way that I would have loved to now. Having been a photographer for so many years, I would have loved, I have done some movie set photography, and I got to shoot Will and Grace one time. It's kind of fun to do that kind of in between when people are studying scripts and stuff. Anyway, I know just a couple photos.
Yeah. Let's do we're going to actually do something. We're going to do a little bit of a giveaway on the show. We're going to do a giveaway first. Tell us what this is going to be fun. This is whoever answers this question. If this is something you want, you send us your address, and you will get this item. Tell us
the winner,
about
whoever wins
the question I'm going to ask. Tell us about what's going on here.
So there was recently a festival celebrating like South Bay punk rock, and it was South by South Bay. And Kevin Salk curated, who's been on your show, he curated a photography show with just South Bay bands. And so he asked for a bunch of stuff, and he chose 2 of my photos. And these were put together and framed by Frank at Fathom. And this is Keith Morris at a Circle Jerk show, and a big crowd behind him. So no, Rich Zoller, Circle Jerks. Yeah, that's not the question.
It's not the question yet.
So I was Circle Jerks print and a Red Cross print, and they're framed and they're really nice. And I thought, if you want to give them away on the show, whoever wins, whatever you guys choose to do, I will ship it to you.
Okay, so here we go.
This is the question.
This is the question. First one who answers this properly. I mean, if first one who answers, we'll sort through it. Are you ready? And I know everybody's ready to get on fucking Wikipedia.
Open your Googles.
Don't, everybody, open your Googles.
Open the Googles.
Don't do it. Listen. If I find out that you Google this, I'm gonna send the Hellcat. My wife.
I'm gonna pick it up.
You don't want none of this, believe me. Oh wait, it is.
It's not small.
Oh wow.
It's a good size.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So
that's beautiful.
It's something that I think is really nice, and it's a master printer over at Fathom.
Wow.
I just thought it'd be something fun. So
yeah.
And
Okay.
same size.
Here we go. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. What was the name of Keith Morris's first band? Okay, here we go. Let's see.
Someone's Googling. What's taking that long?
What's taking so long?
Google.
Is it? Oh, well,
Oh.
technically, all right, here we go. Okay.
Hmm.
Technically, Hardcore Trading Cards responded with Peniche, which is actually wrong. Christopher Valdez responded with Panic. Happens to be right. By the time Hardcore Trading Cards realized his mistake, but yes, his first band was not Black. His first band, it's a right and a wrong answer. Yes, Black Flag was called Panic first. So it was first called Panic. So there you go. The Black Flag is wrong. Black Flag is wrong. The original name of Black Flag was Panic, and they had to change the name.
I believe it was Peniche in France.
Yeah, I like this. Was it Peniche? What's up? We're Peniche.
Peniche. Chez Peniche, yeah.
I've heard it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snot. Snot, no. Anybody else? Brooke, Teenage Time Killers. Face the West. All right. Christopher Valdez, if this is an item that you would like, adoring your wall, reach out to me on social media, send me the address, and this will be shipped to you at no cost.
Yeah, I will ship it to you directly.
Yep. If
Yeah.
you do not want this item and you just wanted to be part of the fun, that's okay. Let me know, and we will have Peniche. Will be next up. Hardcore Legends Trading Cards. Josh will get it. So
Josh is blaming it on his fat fingers.
Is that what he said? Damn fat fingers, stupid
Fat
typo.
fingers.
Oh God. Listen, it's a cruel hardcore world, bro. So that said, couple more questions. Derek Dykeman asks, Dina, are you going to any of the LA Punk Invasion gigs this weekend?
Maybe. Probably not. I'm actually shooting a 4-day conference right now. I shot Monday, I shot Tuesday, I shoot tomorrow, and my co-shooter shot today. And then I have a lot of production. So it's hard to explain what it means to be a working photographer, but I can't always go. So maybe.
Are you shooting?
I don't have tickets so far. I will definitely be at the Fullerton Museum thing. So.
Are you shooting wedding stuff anymore these days, or you're on to the next new and exciting thing?
I'm kind of on to the next new and exciting thing. I do have 3 weddings this year, but I'm really doing a lot more corporate. I do bar and bat mitzvahs. I love to do stylized portraiture. I love to work with musicians and bands and do anything one-on-one where you have no time, but I really like doing, I know it sounds weird and boring, but I really do like doing corporate work as well. This is what stylized portraiture is. And but we had a fantastic makeup artist, Shanna, can't remember her last name. This is Mather Louth from Heathen Apostles, which is a band in LA. And her face kind of just looks like a 1920s film star. And she's such a fantastic model and really loves to do creative shoots. And we spent a lot of time on this. And then I had to have a commercial retoucher kind of even out the makeup on her neck, the red makeup, and also her fingernails, kind of recreate her fingernails, which were red but kind of not smooth enough. So there's just a lot of work involved in this particular portrait that wasn't done for any reason. This was just something I felt like doing for myself. And I don't often have time to invest in doing something like that. But this is the type of work I love doing. You know,
It's absolutely gorgeous.
Creative people a lot, but I pay my bills with corporate work, bar and bat mitzvahs I love to do. Like I said, I do have a few weddings this year, social events. I've done a bunch of celebrity events, which are not necessarily fun to shoot. It's more like the decor is fun and the artist might show up at 1 a.m. You know, I've done a lot of hip hop stuff like that for hip hop celebrities, and you never really are taking photos of them. You're kind of taking photos of the production more and the guests. So yeah, it's an interesting world.
Yeah.
I'm looking. Hey, Rich Zoller, I'm not seeing the question that you're asked. Please repost it. I'm just not seeing it.
And those like butterflies are like glue.
Oh, I
That's
got it. I
her
found it.
face?
I'm sorry.
They're not real butterfly wings. I think they're
Yeah.
kind of fake butterfly wings
Yeah,
that
but
the makeup artist put all over. But she also did this spray of kind of freckles that are black makeup. They're
It's
kind
really
of
cool.
put on there too. I don't remember how she did it. The whole thing,
Yeah.
beautifully.
For all the butterfly lovers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone wants to pay me to do this, I can, but otherwise it's, you know, it's very expensive and, you know, just, you know, took a full day and there was a lot of expense afterwards to create it. And I'm so happy I created it, but
it is,
It's
this
gorgeous.
is a staggeringly beautiful photograph.
Yeah.
oh, thank you so much. I really
this,
love it too. Thank
and
you.
of course, you know, being a bit of a butterfly fan myself.
Oh, wow, I love it. I love that. That's amazing.
Just something I did when I was a kid a long time ago. just
awesome.
put an utter burner across my chest. You know.
Are you wearing a Channel 3 shirt?
I am.
Oh, you've been down. I didn't notice it.
Yeah,
I actually shot Channel 3 in Baltimore when I was visiting my grandparents.
Yeah.
I mean, I've shot them a bunch in LA, and I've reconnected with Mike McGran and Kim. So.
We consider them like a brother band. They come to the East Coast, and you know, here's my segue. Sunday, June 22nd at the Bowery Electric. It's Channel 3, Malavista, Chemical X, Chumhuffer, Beast from the East, DJ Sid the Kid Sound System, free all ages Sunday matinee. Come on down.
And that's Jimmy Cagney on that flyer, right?
That's Jimmy Cagney.
Okay.
Yeah. So Channel 3 comes here. You know, we set them up. We went out there, played a couple shows with them. We love those guys.
Yeah, they're great guys.
Yeah. Rich Zoller has a question about your gear. I have to scroll through and find it again.
Okay.
After okay, Rich Zoller. What is your go-to gear these days? Canon, Nikon? You shooting mirrorless, and thought on the mirrorless technology? I'm not sure how to decipher that.
Yeah.
Oh no, I got it.
Okay.
Camera. It's a camera.
I speak gear. I'm a very technical, nerdy gear person. A lot of my my photographer friends are guys that like to nerd out about gear. So I really love to nerd out about gear. I did shift in mirrorless about 1 or 2 years ago. So I shoot with an R6 right now, rather than R5, because I do shoot so much at the storage. I already have like 600 terabytes, and then I've got redundancy, and I've got RAID 6, and it's astonishing. We're never not backing up. So yeah, I use an R6, which is a slightly smaller file. And prior to that, I jumped from the Mark IV to the R6. Yeah, so that's what I'm using. In terms of Nikon, I mean, when I know when someone is shooting Nikon, because the colors look different, and not in a bad way. Sometimes they look so much better, and sometimes, there's pros and cons, and you kind of pick Nikon or Canon pretty young, and then you kind of stick with it. A lot of video guys use Sony these days, but yeah, I've stuck with Canon. So
yeah,
Canon R6.
Frankie Too Far asks,
and ProPhoto flashes, by the way. I don't use Canon flashes. I use ProPhoto because they're more consistent.
Frankie Too Far asks, do you ever shoot medium format?
I do not. No, I don't own any medium format gear. It's extremely cost prohibitive, and it wouldn't work for the types of jobs I do. it just
Is
wouldn't-
is
it
that
was
is that
not
is that a
taken care of by the-
Hasselblad? Hasselblad, is that a medium format?
Yeah, Hasselblad it would be, or Mamiya. There's all sorts of things. The stuff you see in Vanity Fair often
Yeah.
with medium format, or you see it in
Yeah.
Vogue and Mario Testino or David
Sure.
LaChapelle, but they're getting paid $150,000 for a shoot, and I am not.
Yeah.
So, I do like it, but it doesn't really work for event photography. Yeah.
Damian Murray says Dina is an awesome singer-songwriter. I played drums in her band back in the early 90s, and not too bad behind the lens too.
Damien, how nice to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. That's really a nice surprise. I haven't talked to Damien in years. Yeah, Damien was in my band, Too Many Joes. And he was a great drummer and a great guy. So thank you. That's very sweet of you.
Is that right, Ray Hogan? That's right. Randy Blythe. That's why I asked about Hasselblad, right? Randy Blythe shoots in medium format on the Hasselblad. We had him on the show. Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with his work at all, but
Yeah.
I've made friends with Rob Kuntz, who's a wonderful photographer in Northern California, and he's turned me on to some great photographers, like the guy that travels with Metallica. Is it Lee Jeffries?
Ross Halfin?
I think it's Lee Jeffries.
Okay.
Is his name.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
No.
Is that?
I didn't. I'm on the show, so I'm not going to look it up. But yeah, he's turned me on to some.
Did you say you shot Channel 3 in Baltimore?
I did. I didn't. I only shot Channel 3. I heard that they were there, and they were always kind to me and friendly. And I was at my grandmother's house, and I don't think we were getting along. And I wore blue lipstick and, had stuff hanging off. And I just said, "Oh, this band's playing," and then I didn't come home till 6 a.m, and I got in trouble. But I think it was in the Marble Bar. The Marble Bar was the club where they played.
Hey, if you're Francis, if anybody down there in the Baltimore area, just a heads up, Greg Smith, the photographer of the London 77 book, is from Baltimore, and we're going to be doing a book event down in Baltimore. We're probably doing Baltimore, Philly, and Generation Records here in New York. So just a heads up. And we are trying to reach out to what's his name? The director there that we just showed his picture of. Why am I drawing a blank? Divine. John Waters.
John Waters, yeah.
Who's a Baltimore denizen, to be a part of it since there's photos of him in the book as well. So
that's awesome.
All that.
Wow.
Here's just in the spirit of kind of showing everything that we kind of grabbed, a great lifestyle moment right here.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where someone's like, "That's my dad," and then on Instagram, and then he's like, "Oh my God, that's me."
So no way!
That's incredible. That's so cool.
That are never saw these photos or knew, and he knew the exact date because he said he only had his hair like that for a couple of weeks. And I thought it was at one club. He said it couldn't have been. It had to be here because of my hair. And yeah,
that's incredible.
None of these people knew I had taken these photos.
It's so incredible, It's
when I posted it, I posted that, I'm tired of living, so why am I here? It was perfect.
And then had like a really good time reference because he knew he only had his hair like that,
And then 40 something years later, that's my dad.
Yeah.
No. The stories that people post on my Instagram page are crazy. They're sometimes people are like, "Oh, cool, I like the Ramones," or blah, blah, blah. And sometimes, like with a photo like this, all of a sudden people are coming in with stories, or "That's my dad," or "Oh yeah, we drove down to this place and we were doing this and this happened, and no, that's a wrong story, and this happened." And it's been so much fun that, I haven't been posting to my professional account at all for a year, even though I'm working. I just don't care. It's much more fun to post the punk.
To interact this way.
All the stories. I'm nostalgic too. This was the thing that meant the most to me, and I still love it so much. So
absolutely, it's joyful. It really is. It really is. I agree, and that's one of the biggest reasons I do what I do, is because it brings me joy. to bring people together and to document history and to just be a part of the process. You know, I mean that because
You're
I'm
amazing.
certainly.
I hope people sing your praises because you really are amazing. And even last night when you're like, hey, let's meet, let's talk, you know, let's make sure, let's test, and you spent time with me because this is my first like filmed interview. I've been interviewed in print before, but nothing like this. And I really appreciate the time you spent, you know, just, and you, if you're doing that with everybody, that's just an incredible investment. In
honestly, where I'm at in my life, my praises are within my peers and my community and just doing what I love with my friends, you know, and I'm surrounded by people that support me and love me and I love them back. And that's, to me, that's, you know, it's never been about money for me. And you know, money's important. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not saying, you know,
we'll take the money,
you know, but I do it because I love it. You see, and you want to see something about cause and effect. It's so great about this. So Robbie Fung, out of the blue, just posted, "Hey Drew, I know the booking agent for John Waters. If you need a contact, you might know someone closer to him without having to go through Nugent. Let me know if you need a contact." So you know that.
And I went to college with Robbie Fung.
Is that right?
I went to Fresno State with Robbie and Jay Fung. They were brothers, and because I played in a band up there. And Paul Cruikshank, who owns Ragin' Records, has been so supportive of the punk stuff since I started posting it. And he played in a band, but he didn't know I had all these punk photos. So he's been losing his mind, and he's who put me in touch with Brian Ray Turcotte.
Wow.
You know, at Kill Your Idols, he's like, "Brian, you got to look at this stuff." And so, yeah, Robbie's in the Fresno crew. I went to Fresno State for journalism, and I still have great friends there. And we all kind of, you know, check in with each other on social media. And thanks for tuning in, Robbie. That's super nice. And thanks for offering that to Drew. That's awesome.
Robbie Fung, the unsung hero.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Who is, I'm not sure. Who is this?
Oh, that's Kat from Legal Weapon.
Yep.
And that's the first time I tagged Women of the Pit, and Lori Dawn was like, "Oh, thank you." It was very cute, but there weren't that many female front people at all in the punk world in Los Angeles, and Kat was extremely fierce. She was very protective of any girls that went to her show. She was awesome. You showed a portrait of her earlier that I took in her backyard.
Right.
I
wasn't sure if that was the same person.
It is the same person. Yeah. I was able to photograph them quite a bit, and she was super nice to me, and she has passed away, which is really sad. But this photo is super special to me because as a journalism student, like getting into the LA Times would have been everything. And this ran in the LA Times when I was 16, maybe 17 years old with a byline. So it was my first professional byline was on that photo, actually. And she gave it to the Times and they ran it, which was surprising because the Times usually wants to take its own photos, or at the time did. So
that's incredible. You know, women supporting women, you know.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for tagging us in that. We love it. You know, when people will tag us in their photos and stuff and bring attention. And, you know, you're right. There wasn't a lot, you know, back in the day, but now there's tons of bands with women in them, and we just have to get more of them on the stages, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
This is her in your backyard? Her backyard?
This is her in her backyard.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just a portrait I took of her. I took several portraits of her, and she invited me to parties and stuff. Like she just was very nice to me, which I really appreciated.
Very cool.
Because I think she had to fight and be very tough to kind of survive in that world.
Yeah.
All it takes is a little kindness.
Ed Culver shot them a lot. He shot a few of their albums,
right?
Like, you know, photos for their albums and stuff.
Well, Ed shot a lot of that sort of like 45 Grave. Who am I thinking of? Jeton's. What was Jeton? I'm drawing.
He shot everybody.
Yeah, but that's sort of early 45 Grave and am I drawing a blank? It'll come to me.
Christian Death.
Thank you.
Yes.
Christian Death. Oh, yay.
Thank you. It's been a long show.
It's been a long show. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's
I just got together
TSOL.
with Edward. I hadn't seen him since I was a teenager. And I went over to his house, and he was so gracious and welcoming, and we sat outside and talked for hours. And yeah, he's a lovely guy. I think he has an exhibit coming up at the Punk Rock Museum at the end of the month.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What does the future hold? What are you looking forward to? Give us the rundown on I know you have a couple things, a couple balls in the air, including Girls Who Invented Punk Rock and the Hey Devo thing, the Big Frank. But fill us in on what's the future looking like.
I should have put the list over here so I would remember, but I'm working on a book with Brian Ray Turcotte at Kill Your Idols and Art Aguilar, and I'm very excited about that. And I will let people know when it comes out, but it should be in the next few months. And then the Fullerton Museum is doing Punk OC, stories from the streets of suburbia, from the streets of suburbia. And I have a bunch of photos in that. So I'm very excited. Linda Arano has photos, Marla Watson, Allison Braun, and a bunch of other people. And TSOL and DI are playing at that. General admission is sold out, but I think there's still some VIP tickets. And that is April 5th. So it's a big honor to be a part of that. And I love to see a museum kind of, recognizing the art form that was punk. And people are bringing in artifacts and guitars, and they're displaying my camera, and they do an incredible job over there. So that's pretty cool. Girls Invented Punk Rock is a book that a guy named John Susoff is working on, and so a bunch of female photographers are going to be in that book, which is awesome because I keep saying no teenage girls, no punk history, because so much of punk history was documented by teenage girls. And I didn't even mention that to him, but then he said Girls Invented Punk Rock, and that's his title, and he asked me to be a part of it. So I think there's 12 or possibly 14 female photographers that shot punk. That's really cool. And I have photos in the Red Cross book, and a new book coming out that's called Tearing Down the Orange Curtain that I think comes out in May. And I have some photos in Gotha history. And there's probably a few other things. Oh, and there's a big Frank memorial. They're using one of my photos on some of the merch and posters, I think, that will benefit his daughter in June at the Garden Amphitheater in Southern California. So, Fantastic. Did I miss anything?
No, I was looking at the list as you were saying. I think you got it. I'm pretty sure. Oh,
it's been really funny.
Oh, wait. What's this other one? LA Punks, Gangs, and Punk Rock.
Oh, yeah. That's a documentary that Fabrice Henson's and John, the other guy. What's his name?
Richard Abagon.
Yeah. I've only talked to Fabrice, but it seems like it's going to be a really interesting documentary. And I don't know when it's going to be done. And I don't think they do either. They're doing, their principal photography and interviews right now, but I've seen a couple of snippets, and it looks like it's going to be really, really incredible. So, and they're using photos from, the teenage girls who documented punk history, and probably some other people too. But I think they're going to get into the gang stuff that kind of happened that I was oblivious to. I don't really have any information about that. I just have photos of some of the bands. So. But I'm excited that there's just so much interest in all these cool creative projects, Yeah,
me too. And there seems to be a lot more stories now coming out from women in, punk and hardcore too. So that's been exciting for us.
Yeah.
Especially since we have a book club now because there's so many coming out. And Women of the Pit, we do a book club like every 2 months. So.
That's awesome. Yep. That's awesome.
Just as we head down the home stretch, our friend in Poland says, Dina and Drew, and especially Lori, come to Lodz, Poland. You are welcome.
Oh, thank you. I may get there.
Dzień dobry.
Yeah. I am.
I think I just said hello.
Oh, wow.
In Polish.
I am from Polish descent. So, partially.
Yeah.
Dina, anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out? Thank you so much for being a part of the show. 3 hours in. It's been a long time since we've done 3 hours, and I feel like we could do another 3.
Yeah,
it's a bad thing. I don't even know.
No, it's great.
I hope it's a good thing. I really enjoyed talking to you
It's
guys so much.
fantastic.
Yeah, this
It's
was
fantastic.
incredible.
I just fell in love with both of you. So you guys
Yeah,
are great.
absolutely incredible.
Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank my mom for yelling at me for all those years in emails, not on the phone, and encouraging me to get my punk out because my punk photos out because it's opened up a piece of my life that I loved so much, and I really love my mom. She had to go to the dentist after the photo of Waddy came up. She already texted me, so she'll see this later. But I love my mom to death. I want to shout out to her and all the photographers, the punk photographers like Ed Culver and Allison Braun and Marla Watson and Linda Aronow and Brooke Smith and Brenda Perlin and Kevin Salk that have been so, don't forget Rich Zoller, but that and Rob Kuntz that have been so welcoming. You know, I just showed up and I'm like, here's my stuff, and everybody's been so kind. You know, it's great to have some new friends, you know, and to connect with people that also have the same kind of love and affection for punk that I did. So, and do.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. All right. Well,
anyone else. And Cindy Wathen, who has been,
Yes.
and Cindy, yeah.
and
anyone
Cindy,
in Fresno and Paul
Robbie Fung and
Robbie Fung, Paul Cruikshank at Raging
Yes.
Records in Fresno, and
Yep.
Brian Ray Turcotte and Art Aguilar at Kill Your Idols. So.
and all our people in Poland too. We love
And
our
all people in Poland and Wayne Spike Large.
Yeah.
Spike Large. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Yes. Yeah. Wayne Spike Large. Great show.
Spike
Thanks
Large.
to
Yeah.
Thank you, Dina.
Yeah,
Let's keep in touch, and hopefully we'll see you when we
Yeah, and
come
send
out
me the
west.
address of where the Circle Jerks goes, and if you want to give away Red Cross sometime, you can.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We'll talk to you
incredible.
All right. Thank
soon.
you.
All right.
soon.
Take care.
All right.
Bye bye. Woo! There
Oh,
you
that
have
was amazing.
it. Yep.
That was amazing. Yeah.
La, 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 la,
It was a
la.
lot. We didn't even get to half the stuff that she actually, that she
I know.
does with like, weddings and events and
It's
her-
good. It's good. I like when there's a co-host on. It's
Yeah.
like-
Oh, thank
I mean,
you.
listen, I could carry the heavy load, with the Dave Lombardos of the world if need
Yes.
be. But I
Yeah.
certainly enjoy when it's just other people and it's just
Yeah.
not like on camera the whole time, intent. It's like,
Yeah. Well, I
yeah,
definitely
yeah.
had fun today. I had fun researching this
Yeah.
guest because she's just incredible.
oh, Lisa says, great show. So glad I woke up and caught some of it.
She was
Elisa,
working today.
I
Let
know
me
what
say
she's.
something.
I know what Elisa's doing.
No.
Don't you cover for her.
No, she was.
I know you're getting your rest, getting ready for Sunday. Big drink, big day down at the bar at Berlin. You're gonna carry the whole thing.
No.
God bless.
Elisa is professional now. She's all professional. She's working.
Is that right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She just I don't know if I'm allowed to say it.
I was working.
Yeah, she's working. She's going to be working, like putting all the furniture in the UN. Her job is very important. She doesn't get those comfortable seats. World War III can break out.
Silly.
Yeah,
me.
that's
You know,
right. She's
gotta
redoing all the furniture in there.
I'm no good. I'm evil and must be destroyed. I just. Yep. Respects to Lori Dawn, Janis Joplin. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Hold that. Take it.
Taking down a little piece of my heart.
Wait, spot. I discovered you guys today to see Dina. I'm hooked. Well, hey, funny you should bring it up. Tune in this Wednesday. Listen, we get all we dance around a little bit. This Wednesday, we got Kurt from DRI, and then what is it? A week later, or is that what is that? Wow, it's a couple days later.
Wow.
Adam Blake from H2O. But there's some great photographer shows coming up. We got David Plastic, we got Jay Blakesberg, we got Greg Smith. So there's a lot going on. So
Yeah, awesome.
So there you say. Anybody you want to shout? Anybody you want to thank out?
Well, I just want to shout out all the women in WOTP and the guys at Lockdown for letting me come and invade their studio this weekend and see some great new music being recorded. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll see everybody at the bow. No, where am I going?
Oh, excuse me. Heather asked,
Berlin.
hey, Lori, can you tell us about Women of the Pit?
Oh, yeah. So anybody out there doesn't know about Women of the Pit, we're a group. We're on Facebook. The Facebook group is a private little networking group for the women. And then we have Instagram on IG. And what we do is we connect, we encourage, we empower, and we just we highlight any, bands, fans, artists, photographers. So you can be part of our interview projects, the Who Are We project. And yeah, come check us out. So it's all about support.
Good. Yes. Yep. That said, all right. I will see you on Sunday for what is it? How can I put it? Hold on, let me clear the deck for the I'm trying to come up with something good. I'll see you for the Munich Beer Fest. Oh, geez.
For the melee.
Tune in. Yep. Yeah, see you. Yep. Get some sleep, hon. You're going to need it. Yeah, come on. Cuddle up. Big party going on.
At Berlin.
On
down.
Hub City Stompers. Have a drink.
I can't wait to see Cindy.
She's ready.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Let's get something to eat. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Take care.
Boom. Whoop. There it is. Another one in the books. Hey, just a reminder that the London 77 book is out now. It's at Generation. It's Get Cortex. Please order it. You're going to hear a lot about it in the future. There's a lot. Thank you, Wayne Spike Large. Lot going on. So, yeah, let's go get something to eat. I hope you're well. Time is short. Tell your loved ones that you love them. I know it's hard sometimes, but tell your loved ones that you love them. And until next time, yes, Sean, my pleasure. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Yep. Paniche. We are Paniche. Heather, my pleasure. Bro, listen, Poland, you better be back here in a couple days. Cortex Germany. Yeah, order from Cortex. We will see you at the next show. Now make Rochelle dinner. Exactly. Yep. I got to get off the show. The Hellcat's about to walk back in. I love you guys. Until next time, do good things and good things will come.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty.